Everybody, it's a happy Thursday morning, the 9th day of October. Welcome to Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Good to see everybody. It's a little on the nippy side at 46 degrees. We'll give you the skinny on the weather. In the meantime, let us introduce our award-winning cast of characters. Dr. Gene Zidler. Good morning, Gino.
Good morning, Roger, and everyone watching and listening.
You got it. And Mike Dentino. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Roger.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking, I don't know where to begin. Well, we'll begin because I've been honored. It's not my birthday or even close to it, but this was left at the door, and I called the bomb squad. Then you admitted, Gene, that you were the one that opened this up or presented to. Ooh, bubble wrap. Nice. Oh, you're kidding. That's a little early, isn't it?
Well, that's about the time it comes out.
Yes. This day in history. That's what we use every day. Almost
the History Channel desk calendar. They also make a wall calendar, but this one gives a lot more detail to each day's history.
There's one problem. It says 2024.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful because sometimes when you buy them on eBay,
they send like
last year.
Yeah. I got such a great deal on it.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Thank you. We'll cherish this up until the 1st of January 2026.
Yes, keep it sealed until January 1st.
And it says 365 remarkable people, extraordinary, and I know some people say extraordinary, but I always thought it was pronounced extraordinary.
I suppose
preferred.
I have heard it both ways as well. I more commonly extraordinary, but I suppose both pronunciations will be acceptable by some people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the British who insist on spelling color with a U and call parts of the car the bonnet and the hood and the boot.
And the gas is petrol.
Petrol,
right?
yeah, well,
Yes,
it's very confusing when my first time I worked on an English motorcycle, the instructions said, wash the pistons in paraffin. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to wash it with wax?
Yeah.
And it turns out paraffin is just their way of discussing diesel.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And there is a picture of some of the members of our staff on it as well.
The terracotta soldiers and
it looks like some of the people that
creature.
work on Wednesdays.
There we
on
go.
Our show. Well, thank you.
I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't say Thursday.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. No, never insult somebody who's here, or try to avoid it as much as possible. Yeah, it is fascinating to do that because, for one thing, it's very educational, and also a little reminder that as we've defined education, I don't know who originally said it, but education is what you remember after you've forgotten what you've learned. Do you have any idea who said that? Was it Mark Twain or Horace Greeley? Or
well, I would put my money on Twain. He has some of my my favorite quotes. Many of them have come from him. Like, for instance, no man's life, liberty, or property is safe while the legislature is in session. So at the moment, we seem to be safe with Congress and the federal government being unfunded.
Yes.
It is actually attributed to Albert Einstein in 1936 in an essay he wrote on education.
You know what? I remember him saying that because I was 2 years old, and I turned to my mom and dad and said, "Who is Albert Einstein?"
And I said, "What are you?
Yes.
Ignorant?"
The guy with the bushy eyebrows.
Yeah. He did. He had a bushy hair and there. How old was he when he died? It say, and what was the cause
he
of
was
death?
quite elderly. I don't know. I will.
Would he be considered the world's greatest mind?
Well, certainly one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody would crown him
Receive the
the
crown.
greatest mind.
Well, who would be competitive with him? That
You know, in
reputation.
science, you've got Isaac Newton going back
Yeah,
quite a
that's
long
right.
way, but
Edison and his,
Thomas Edison. Sure.
Edison, Tesla. I mean, you know, Nikolai Tesla
He was a genius.
The big difference between him and Edison was Edison had a much better publicist. I think Tesla had made the more interesting discoveries, and depending on which conspiracy website that you subscribe to.
Edison wanted to use direct current
right,
to distribute electric current to homes throughout the country. That would have been a disaster and wouldn't have worked because direct current degrades over distance.
Over distances,
and,
right.
Alternating current does not. Also can't be stepped up or stepped down in voltage as easily as alternating current does. And that was Tesla's idea.
Well, Tesla and George Westinghouse, in fact, George Westinghouse developed Tesla's ideas, and Edison was of a mind that, well, that's all BS and smoke and mirrors, and tried to did everything he could possibly do to discredit both Westinghouse and Tesla, including electrocuting an elephant to demonstrate how dangerous.
Did the elephant die?
Yeah, I think the elephant was pushing up the daisies after he was done.
You know, when you said Tesla, I laughed because I thought you were making fun of the automobile, and I didn't realize that there is a inventor by the name of John Tesla.
Well,
Nikola.
I like John better.
He was
Czech, perhaps, or
Czech, maybe. Yeah. Where
he was
from?
Eastern European, that's for sure. But
Hungary or something.
yeah, I mean he's probably the greatest unknown inventor of the 19th century. Serbian. There we go.
Serbian.
So Alexander Graham Bell, could he be in the mix? And
Maybe, sure.
Yeah.
how about Marconi?
Yeah.
Smart guy. Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't have macaroni without him.
Well, then you got to get Chuck E. Cheese in there.
There you go.
Albert Einstein died at the age of 76 in 1955.
In 55,
at
really?
the age of 76, yeah.
Well, that's not too
Trying
bad.
to see what he died from.
Got a bad case of death.
He got electrocuted.
He had internal bleeding caused by a rupture of an abdominal aortic aneurysm. That's not a healthy
That's
thing
not that's
to live
you
with.
don't get you don't recover from that very often.
He refused surgery, saying that I want to go when I want. It's tasteless to prolong life artificially. So he saw surgery as prolonging his life artificially. And he died at Princeton Hospital the next morning at the age of 76.
Where was it?
Princeton, New Jersey, Princeton
New Jersey.
Hospital.
I believe Conway Twitty they died of an aortic.
Yeah, sometimes it's very sudden. If you burst your aorta, you lose all your blood into your abdominal compartment very quickly. And it's usually a very instant death. Sometimes it can leak gradually, and you have a few hours or maybe longer. Maybe it can even sometimes leak intermittently.
Are there any symptoms to it to let you know you're in trouble?
Well, abdominal pain, and you can, you drop your blood pressure and go into shock and need transfusions and things like that. But no, the symptoms sometimes just don't
give you much
reveal
of a chance.
it in time.
Right.
Sometimes you can, like on exams, I've detected a couple of abdominal aneurysms.
You have, really?
Yeah, that patients didn't know they had because on feeling an abdominal
Is that why
abdomen.
cardiologists and GPs or practitioners shove around on your
It's just one of the reasons
abdominal
because
area?
there's a lot of organs in there, so
Yeah.
you want to check and see if there's something out of place or enlarged, something going wrong with one of the organs. And with the aorta, now the aorta is all the way in the back of the abdomen, behind all the other internal organs, but it will pulsate much more prominently if you have an aneurysm because it's enlarged and it's pushing forward against the intestines, and you will feel that pulsation much more prominently on the abdomen.
Can you push, like if you would feel around, check whatever you're checking, can you push this organ over on one side a little bit, or push the stomach over?
No, but the only stuff
that
that moves is the small intestine. Pretty much all the other organs, including the colon, is held
Pretty
in
well
place by pretty good tight ligaments and
Okay.
doesn't move very much. But the small intestine, yeah, you can move that around in there. It's like a bowl of spaghetti.
Well, I was going to say it's very important to ask the question because I've noticed my abdominal area is getting larger, and I was wondering if you could push something more around to the back.
And I
Well-
think there's another reason for
Oh,
that.
yeah,
It's
I-
on the outside.
I tried that
Yeah.
excuse for my wife, and she said, "No, you're just fat."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember once you were examining me, and you said that I was suffering from an overactive fork.
Yeah.
I think
That wasn't a medical.
that
wasn't
sounds like
you.
a Royce Elliott joke.
Yeah, in all probability. Hey, a lot of big news, what's going on in the Middle East. Donald Trump has done it again, and even the local TV is having a hard time giving him credit. But we'll give you all the details on that and some great, exciting news about Bradley basketball and the event that you went to last night. Sure. First person report, as usual, on Breakfast with Roger and Brad. And we'll start with check of the weather by your hometown community banks division of Morton Community Bank. Look for the clock tower, and they have time for you. Member FDIC. Weather-wise, yes.
Well,
Sunny today, high 70. Do you have that?
I've got it right here.
Okay,
on top of
Mike.
the thing. Well,
Don't let me hog
okay. Well,
your news.
give
The
me a
weather.
chance.
Okay.
It'll be sunny today with a high 71, a low tonight of 43. So it might be time to find that jacket in the back of the
I did.
Of the closet.
I wore mine.
Tomorrow, sunny and 73, sunny and 74 on Saturday, 76 on Sunday, and currently, I don't have the currently.
Currently, we have 46 degrees.
46 degrees. Ooh, little nippy in the air.
There you have a check of the weather, and now the news brought to you by certified public accountant and tax specialist Matt Wall. He's with Gordon Stockman Wall, and he's been around helping businesses and individuals for over 40 years. You can reach Matt today if you have any questions at 309-692-4030. Now the big news, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Roger, and we'll get to it. It's finally happened, people. President Donald Trump announced Hamas has joined Israel in ending the Gaza war. The president said on Truth Social that Hamas and Israel had signed off on the first phase of the Trump peace plan. This means all of the hostages will be released and Israel will withdraw troops from the war zone. Trump said this is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America.
The president thanked the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, who he said worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement, "With God's help, we will bring all of the hostages home." The Prime Minister said he'll convene the government to approve the agreement today, which has been done.
Meanwhile, the president is having a hard time settling the war in this country with domestic terrorists fighting ICE agents, especially in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. J.B. Pritzker, sounding more like Hermann Goering, then governor of Illinois, remains defiant in opposition to the work of the federal agents who've arrested more than 1,600 criminal immigrants.
The number is absolutely amazing. A hearing will be held today where a judge will consider a request by the governor and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for a temporary restraining order to block the National Guard deployment, although I think they're already here.
Yeah.
The lawsuit filed by the two politicians alleges that Trump-ordered deployment is politically motivated, unconstitutional, and unlawful. Trump said Pritzker and Johnson should be in jail for failing to protect ICE agents who've been attacked and injured by rioters, particularly in Broadview, Illinois.
Former FBI Director James Comey was in court yesterday and pleaded not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress and obstructed congressional proceedings. The Biden-appointed judge released Comey on his own recognizance. His trial is set for January of next year. In the meantime, Comey's attorneys will seek to have the charges against him dismissed.
A judge in South Carolina has sentenced an illegal immigrant to, are you ready for this, 1 year in jail after he hit and ran from an accident that fatally injured a University of South Carolina student. 24-year-old Rosalie Cruz turned in front of 21-year-old motorcyclist Nate Baker. Cruz fled the scene as the student died of his injuries on a street in Columbia, South Carolina. The judge gave the light sentence over objections of prosecutors who said the driver had 3 other traffic violations.
Peoria police announced the arrest of 35-year-old Calvin Freeman in connection with the shooting of a 34-year-old woman last Sunday morning. She reportedly was shot in the chest in the 3400 block of West Hay Street and was taken by car to local hospital. Freeman has been charged with domestic battery.
The debate in Peoria Heights on how and who should respond to emergencies, fire emergencies, medical emergencies, has been settled. Trustees agreed to sign an agreement with the City of Peoria Fire Department for support in fighting fires and help with medical emergencies in the village. The vote actually ended in a tie, 3-3. It was broken by the mayor, Matt Wiggington, in favor of the agreement. Those are some of the stories we're following. Let's turn to WCBU. And more news.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. Washington city leaders are considering action to improve attendance at board and commission meetings. This week, the city council discussed a proposed ordinance amendment that would allow for removing members who miss multiple meetings. Alderperson Mike McIntyre applauds the idea.
We assign people, and Mayor, you recommend people, and we approve it here for these commissions for a reason.
The city council will vote on the amendment at its October 20th meeting. Illinois Community College's Vice President of Workforce and Diversity says they're trying to work through financial aid challenges tied to federal DEI restrictions. Arnatria Shaw says the problem stems from changed definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
When we think about equity, we're thinking about giving every student what they need, not one student a benefit over another student. And part of that means we have to look at how those relationships play out.
She says diminished funding for higher education will have a domino effect across the entire community. Governor J.B. Pritzker is vowing not to back down against President Trump after he said the governor and Mayor Brandon Johnson deserve to be jailed. Early Wednesday, Trump floated imprisonment for both Illinois officials for not doing enough to protect ICE agents. On Tuesday, the governor drew laughs at a forum with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz when asked about the comments.
You both believe that you could sincerely be arrested?
Yes. I'm asking any of you to come visit me in the gulag in El Salvador.
Pritzker's El Salvador reference was to the notorious Central American mega prison where Trump's administration has sent scores of migrants. A new device developed in central Illinois aims to help kids with cancer stay active. Nick Kemp is an exercise physiologist with OSF's Heller Center in Peoria. He worked with OSF's Innovation Center to create a protective covering for chest ports used to administer treatment.
It's under the skin, but it's very sensitive still, and so any types of bumps in that area cause kids to kind of be reserved or more cautious.
Kemp's now in the process of partnering with other institutions to continue testing and refining it. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into the world of sports. Brought to you by BradleyFans.com. Here's Dr. Gino. Good morning.
Oh, thank you, Roger. Yes, all four of the National League and American League divisional series were in action last night. We'll start first with the Cubs because it's good news. Game 3 of their series with the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs bounced back from losing those first 2 games up in Milwaukee to beat the Brewers 4-3 last night to cut the Brewers' lead in the best-of-5 series to 2-1. Chicago scored 4 runs in the first inning and then were shut out the rest of the way, but the pitchers, 5 of them, combined to hold the Brewers to just 3 runs, and the final result 4-3, a win for the Cubs. The game 4 of the series, which will be another elimination game for the Cubs, is tonight at Wrigley Field, an 8:08 p.m. game on
Oh, you're
TBS.
kidding.
Yeah,
8:08
late game
with
tonight.
with the temperatures dropping. That's ridiculous.
That's going to be like spring training all over again.
I don't think it's going to get down into the 40s quite
You
by
don't
the
think
time
so?
the game's over, but it'll be a little cool for more so I think for the fans in the stands and than the players. I think they don't mind some of that cooler weather.
I think it's also harder for pitchers to break off
it probably
sliders and
yeah,
slurperies.
change the dynamics of the pitchers. Yeah, it does.
You have to use a lot more spit on the ball.
So anyway, Game 4 is tonight. Game 5, if it's necessary, will be Saturday afternoon at 3:30. Over in the American League, the Detroit Tigers staved off elimination in their series with the Seattle Mariners, beating the Mariners 9-3 to even that series 2 games apiece. Sorry, the deciding Game 5 is tomorrow at 3:08 p.m. in Seattle. Game 4 of the Toronto Blue Jays New York Yankees series went to the Toronto Blue Jays, beating the Yankees 5-2. They win that series, eliminating the Yankees 3-1. The Yankees fans not happy. They thought they had a team that could go all the way this year, and I think they did, but a lot of injuries to their pitching staff. Garrett Cole, their number 1 pitcher, he's been out almost the entire year with injury. And they had to go with a lot of pitchers who weren't even on the roster at the start of the year. Yankees pitchers in this series gave up 34 runs in 4 games, over 8 runs, eight and a half runs a game. Blue Jays advance now to play the winner of the Detroit Tigers and Seattle Mariners series when that finishes. The National League, former Cub Kyle Schwarber homered twice to lead the Philadelphia Phillies to an 8-2 win over the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers still lead that series 2-1. Game 4 is today, a 5:08 p.m. game on TBS. And I guess that covers all 4 of the series. The NFL Thursday night football game tonight on Prime Video is an NFC East matchup. Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. The Eagles are 4-1, having lost their first game last Sunday, and the Giants are a disappointing 1-4. Philadelphia a 6.5-point favorite. There's 12 NFL games Sunday and 2 on Monday, and the Chicago Bears are one of the teams playing Monday night in Washington, D.C. against the Washington Commanders. Commanders 3-2, the Bears 2-2. That game will be on ABC. Washington's a 6.5-point favorite in that game. Over in college football, Illinois is up 5 spots this week in the AP Top 25 to number 17. And they'll play at home Saturday against Ohio State, the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Are they at home?
It is in Champaign.
I thought
yes,
I thought it was in Columbus, but it is in Champaign.
That it was in Columbus, but no, it is in Champaign. It's a home
Well,
game.
they have a better chance
Illinois.
then with home
Maybe a little
crowd.
better. Ohio State is just a 6.5-point favorite. I didn't think I expected it might be a little bit more with Ohio
Me
State being
too.
such a powerhouse,
Right.
but 6.5 points. I think Illinois got a chance to hang close. In the end, I'm going to guess Ohio State wins
No,
that game, but
I think they'll win easily. One of the reasons is I think the secondary of Illinois is secondary. I'll leave it at that.
yeah, and Ohio State has become much more of a passing offense in the last few years. Produced quite a few NFL quarterbacks, including Justin Fields, who didn't work out too well for for the Chicago Bears,
I think
No.
you're
nor
right
the
about it.
Jets, nor the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's really not played well no matter where he's been. Anyway, Notre Dame is 3-2 now, up 5 spots to number 16 in the rankings, and they play a home game Saturday against North Carolina State. North Carolina State is 2-4 on the season. That one's on the Peacock Network at 2:30 p.m. Notre Dame's a 21.5-point favorite.
Oh, you're
now.
kidding.
Now. And Bradley basketball, they play their first exhibition game of the preseason this Saturday, day after tomorrow. Saturday night in Green Bay, Wisconsin, against the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. Of course, head coach Brian Wardle has strong ties to that school. He was a successful coach there for 10 years prior to being hired by Bradley, 5 years as an assistant and 5 as their head coach. This year's Bradley team will have a much different look than last year. They lost 4 of their 5 starters, as well as the top 4 scorers from last team's 28-win season, and they've got 9 new players on the roster, 5 freshmen, 3 transfers, and a junior college transfer. Yet preseason publications are thinking they're going to be pretty good. They have been picked as high as number 1 by some publications, number 4 on the low side, and the Missouri Valley Conference's own preseason poll of coaches and media picked Bradley number 4 behind Illinois State, Northern Iowa, and Murray State. And you can get a lot more information about the preseason and this game coming up at Green Bay on BradleyFans.com. You ever heard of that one?
Yeah, I have. I understand it's very, very
I saw
popular.
Jim Shadid at the Bradley I-2 Hall event last
You
night,
did.
the preseason spaghetti supper. Had a little
There
chat
you go.
with him. He checks out Bradley fans. Bradley's got 4 new coaches this year because
They have a new
most of-
baseball coach.
well, I'm talking just basketball coaches.
Oh,
4 new basketball coaches because
All new, because they moved on.
because every one of Brian Wardle's assistants got
That's
jobs,
tough.
got promotions and jobs elsewhere. So he had to fill out his coaching staff with a whole bunch of new guys, and some of them follow me there on the Bradley Fans website, and I talked to one who didn't know about it, so I informed him, and hopefully he'll check it out. Had a good chat with a number of the new players. Got to meet every one of the new players and the
Well,
new
tell
coaches.
everybody how all of this took place. What were you attending?
Well, Bradley usually starts the basketball season with this preseason event called the preseason spaghetti supper, and it's held out on West Farmington Road in the I-2 Hall. It's a tradition that goes back to even the late 70s. It was discontinued for a couple of years under a previous president who shall go unnamed.
Is there any chance I might know who that is?
You would know who that
Okay.
was, and it was unfortunate. She
it was.
decided that we should not be having events off campus when we've got a brand new, relatively new campus facility, that Renaissance Coliseum, beautiful Coliseum, but she wanted to hold it there, and then they even discontinued it a couple of years. Held it down on the riverfront one year. That was a disaster because it was cold and rainy, and very few people showed up. But now with Chris Reynolds back in charge there as the athletic director, he sort of resurrected the I-2 Hall Spaghetti Supper. There were probably about 400 fans there. They served spaghetti from Avanti's and the chickens from Gill's.
In Hannah City.
nice,
City.
yeah.
Wow, hey.
And it was terrific.
First cabin.
And they have a nice program where they introduce the players. The players all sort of spread out and sit at the tables with the
Around
fans.
the room, so they're not just together.
No,
they're
they
kind
don't
of
just
like
all
meet
sit
and
together.
greet.
They'll
Great
try
idea.
to separate and maybe one on each table or something like that, so they get to meet the fans. But there's also a little time in between and before the program starts where you can mill around and talk to the players and the coaches. And again, so many new ones that I had to get around and talk to a couple of them, most of them. And so it was a very nice event. It was emceed by the one and only Dave Snell.
Dave Snell, who nobody's better.
Yeah, he's terrific. Dave is going to be back this year, of course. And the first preseason exhibition, as I mentioned, is day after tomorrow, Saturday night up in
It's
Green Bay.
unbelievable, isn't
Now
it, how
that
quickly.
came about because Brian Wardle, of course, a former coach at Green Bay, but they are retiring the jersey of one of their greatest players, Kiefer Sykes, who played for Brian Wardle when Brian was the head coach up there. This gentleman holds all the scoring records there at Green Bay and went on to have a pretty good pro career overseas for a few years, and he's back now, and he's going to be part of their staff, and they are going to retire.
That's wonderful.
Kiefer Sykes is his name, and they're going to retire his jersey, and they asked Bradley and Brian Wardle if they would come up and be their opponent for this preseason exhibition. This is a game that doesn't count on the schedule, but it's something the NCAA is allowing teams to do more of. Remember, we used to have preseason exhibitions usually against Division II, Division III, lower level schools, and those you'd end up winning 108 to 56 or something like that.
Right.
And it wasn't really the best experience to get your team ready for the season. So this year, the NCAA is allowing you to have exhibitions against other Division I teams. The first time they've done that. And so Bradley has this exhibition, and they'll have another one at the end of October against St. Louis University, and that one will be in Peoria here. But yeah, last night was a very nice crowd and a nice event, and everybody had a good time and got to meet a lot of the new guys.
Yeah, and it sounded like an exciting and well-attended event, and let's hope that Bradley has an exciting and successful year. Not as I think you said on BradleyFans.com, and so did some of the voting of coaches and different universities, that Bradley's going to wind up around 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, they were picked 4th
Valley.
in the official league preseason poll, which is the coaches and the athletic directors and the media people get a vote in that one. But there's about a dozen other online and in magazine form, paper magazine forms that come out every year and rate all the conferences in college basketball. And so Bradley's been picked as high as number 1 by some, and as low as I think one of them even had him as number 5. But mostly 3rd and 4th is where people are picking Bradley. Everybody expects Illinois State to be the best
really
team.
good this year.
And the reason was because they were a young team last year and played well, but they got everybody back. And that's very unusual now in college, especially the mid-level college basketball teams, because if you have good players, the bigger schools have more of this NIL, name, image, likeness, money to throw around, and they can lure them to come and play for them. So, yeah, most schools lose their better players, and that has happened every year for many of the teams in the league. Illinois State, on the other hand, has everybody back, and that's a little bit of an advantage, I think, though. They will be a tough team. I don't know that they'll win the conference. Number 2 pick was Northern Iowa,
and they're always
and they
good.
have everybody back. Yeah. So and they were good last year.
How about Drake?
Drake lost everybody, including their coach. Ben McCullum is now at Iowa, and took some of his players with him over to Iowa. In fact, Bennett Sturtz, who was the player of the year last year in the Missouri Valley, was picked in the Big Ten preseason poll for a first team all preseason Big Ten over in the Big Ten. So they're expecting him to have a good year over there. I don't, against other bigger, stronger guards to guard him, I don't know that he'll have quite as good a year.
Yeah, they play
10.
a little rougher style of basketball.
Bigger players,
in the Big
quicker,
Ten Valley.
longer arms and everything. Everything about the play is a little different. But we'll see. And, so Drake has got a whole new team and a new coach, Eric Henderson. He came from South Dakota State. And so they're picked down around 6th or 7th. But who knows? That's where Drake was picked last year, and they won the league.
And they won the league, yeah.
So sometimes the team
They
will
still got to play the game.
Yep. Still got to go through it all.
All right, and that's Sports I Take It, brought to you by BradleyFans.com, and let's bring you up to date on our news headlines. And our news at the bottom of the hour brought to you by our friends at Peoria Pet Crematory. The folks there, experienced professional, offering several dignified options when you lose your pet. You can reach them at any hour of the day or night, 7 days a week. It's amazing. They're available around the clock at 309-713-1898, 713-1898. Peoria Pet Crematory. People who care. With headlines, here's Mike.
Thanks, Roger. President Donald Trump has announced Hamas has joined Israel in ending the Gaza war. The president said on Truth Social Media that Hamas and Israel had signed off on the first phase of the Trump peace plan. This means all of the hostages will be released and Israel will withdraw troops from the war zone. Trump said this is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. The president thanked mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who said he worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, said in a statement, "With God's help, we will bring all of the hostages home." The Prime Minister said he will convene the government to approve the agreement today. In this country, the president is having a hard time settling the war with domestic terrorists fighting ICE agents, especially in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. J.B. Pritzker remains defiant in opposition to the work of federal agents who have arrested more than 1,600 criminal immigrants. A hearing will be held today where a judge will consider a request by the governor and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for a temporary restraining order to block the National Guard deployment. The lawsuit, filed by two politicians, alleges that Trump ordered the deployment as is politically motivated, it's unconstitutional and unlawful. Trump says Pritzker and Johnson should be in jail for failing to protect ICE agents who've been attacked and injured by rioters in Broadview, Illinois. Former FBI Director James Comey was in court yesterday and pled not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress and obstructed congressional proceedings. The Biden-appointed judge released Comey on his own recognizance. His trial is set for January of next year. In the meantime, Comey's attorneys will seek to have the charges against him dismissed. Peoria police announced the arrest of 35-year-old Calvin Freeman in connection with the shooting of a 34-year-old woman last Sunday morning. She reportedly was shot in the chest in the 3400 block of West Hayes Street and was taken by car to local hospital. Freeman has been charged with aggravated domestic battery. The debate in Peoria Heights on how and who should respond to fire emergencies has been settled. Trustees agreed to sign an agreement with the City of Peoria Fire Department for support in fighting fires and help with medical emergencies in the village. The vote actually ended in a 3-3 tie, which was broken when Mayor Matt Wigington voted in favor of the agreement. This morning, a little later on, we're going to talk with Julie Bickelhaupt of Carroll County, Illinois, a Republican who's announced that she will run against Eric Sorensen for Congress from the 17th District. She is a lifelong resident, farmer, mother, and community leader. She thinks that the district needs a new and responsible leader. She'll join us by phone after the 7:30 news. And Roger, that's it for news at the bottom of the hour.
Now I can tell you, I had a little pleasant conversation with Julie on a couple of occasions in the past few days. Lovely lady, and look forward to sharing her with our audience on WAZU as on YouTube as well. Hey, let's take a check of the weather brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois in a time of need. AMT will be there in a matter of minutes with the most skilled and advanced pre-hospital care possible. AMT dedicated to providing a better life through better health. And it's going to be another pleasant day today, boys and girls. Sunny and a high of 70. We'll take it and run with it. In my case, walk with it. Tonight's low, 47. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness and 73. Sunday, well, let's do Saturday first, Roger. It's sunny and 72, 74 on Sunday. And right now, our temperature, cool, 45 degrees. And there you have it, news, weather, sports at the bottom of the hour. Sounds like you had a great time at the I-2 Hall. That's a great setting, isn't it, for Bradley basketball dinners, luncheons? So forth.
Yeah. It's a nice place. Obviously, there's a lot of venues that you could hold an event like that, but this has become a tradition. and people enjoy it. The I2 people are just as helpful as they can be. As far as the food goes, it's volunteers from the athletic department that do all the work serving it. So you go through a little bit of a food line, and you're being served by Coach Wardle and Coach Popovec.
That's a great idea.
And the other coaches along the food line. But from everything I hear, the I2 people are just very helpful in setting up and facilitating that event.
I want to stay with sports for just a minute. Don't want to overdo it for that matter. But there's a strong possibility the American League playoffs for the pennant will be between Toronto and Seattle. Could you thank you. Someone's at the front door. At any rate, can you find two other teams that will draw worse than this one?
Yeah, Miami Marlins might draw worse, but yeah, you don't have the big market cities.
Sure don't.
If it turns
Toronto
into
and
those two.
Seattle.
Obviously, the network people want to see the Dodgers and the Yankees, or maybe the Red Sox and the Giants, or something like that. But not going to work out quite that way this year. But that could definitely affect the ratings for the World Series.
Yeah, they're too busy in Portland trying to raise the town there to be interested in baseball at this time of year.
Yeah, they'd rather riot and protest and so forth. Which brings, I don't know how closely you watch any of the games, but I cannot believe how bad the plate umpires are in the playoffs.
That's
they are
real downside.
Atrocious. Last night, a guy by his last name is Little. I looked up. I forget what his first name is. He was blowing obvious calls where the pitch was in the strike zone. I mean, way in, and calling the ball. Later on, something that was way outside. I mean, way outside, calling a strike. He was having a bad night, and I wish there was a system where the chief, every crew has a chief, and chief at the end of maybe the second inning called them together and said, Mr. Little, you don't have it tonight. Do you agree? Yeah, I had a bad night. My wife was mad at me, and I had to sleep in the garage or something like that. But they need to go to the electronic system. They had another situation where the catcher and the pitcher knew it was a strike because it's so obvious, and they started leaving, and the umpire said, no, that was a ball. And you saw it inside the box, way inside. You got to do something about it.
There was another call not made related to balls and strikes in the Cubs game yesterday. Pete Crow Armstrong checked his swing, and on the replay, it was clearly a checked swing. A lot of times you think it is, but when you see the replay, he does kind of go well past the plate with his swing before he checks it and brings it back. And that's a tough call for the umpire. They appeal to the third base or the first base umpire to get help for the home plate guy because he maybe can't see that. But the third base umpire called him out on a ball, a pitch outside that he checked his swing on, and it, again on the replay, clearly looked like he checked it fairly, and that really enraged Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, he's a little temperamental.
He was probably close to getting tossed out of the game, but that that one you can give him a break on. But the balls and strikes, I don't know how they can miss some that are 3 and 4 and 5 and sometimes as much as 6 inches outside of the legitimate strike zone. And you're right. I mean, most of these games have been very good games, very entertaining and watchable games in the playoffs. And I probably watched more playoff baseball this year than I have in many years. Maybe since the
You've been
Cubs,
that bored?
Mostly. No, no, just because they've been good games.
Yes, they have been. Yeah, some were
I've enjoyed
blowouts.
watching them. And yet the ball strike. There are people on the internet that track this and show how many calls each umpire misses each game.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, they have shown some of these, and in the first games last Friday, there was one game where an umpire missed something like 36 calls.
Wow.
You know, and you only get about 130 or 40 pitches in a game between. Well, maybe it's probably a little higher, 100. But as far as actual calls that are questionable, it should be very few that you miss, and yet some of them were setting records for the number that they miss
That's right.
outside.
They
either
got a lot of
outside
young
they called
umpires.
strikes or
Yeah.
inside that they call balls, and you just wonder if I hope the Major League Baseball people evaluate that and kind of eliminate the guys that are the least consistent.
Well, they need to go to the electronic system.
And they will next year.
Well,
do you
yeah,
know-
I mean, with as many high-profile calls as they've missed in the last few playoff games, it really kind of presses the whole issue home.
Yeah. Do you know of a profession? Let's start with pilots and follow it with surgeons who can make 30 to 40 mistakes and survive
Yeah.
in their profession. Can attorneys make 30 bad motions or arguments and expect to be successful in their job?
That's what appellate courts are for.
Yeah. Well, you can't file a suit against a home plate umpire for being bad, but the point I'm making is when you're a professional, you're not supposed to be bad at it.
No.
And so many of these
No.
umpires are really bad, particularly with balls and strikes. And as you've heard over the years, for many, many years, the players are supposed to adjust because some umpires would call pitches that are high strikes, some are low ball
Well-
umpires, some are outside, some are inside.
Yeah.
And the players are told, well, you have to adjust to the call.
That's like telling drivers on a highway where there are no speed limits posted and it changes every mile that you're
Yeah.
supposed to adjust to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you know,
You're
it's
supposed to get it right.
back in the day, you know, granted, there are always going to be calls where the ball like clips the outside corner, but yeah,
That
and
I understand,
those
yeah.
are understandable. And even if once you go to electronic monitoring, those are still going to be calls that are people are going to look at them in slow mo and go, oh, you know, was it halfway across the line at the corner or was it mostly in on the corner? So you're still going to have disagreements over some of that stuff. But boy, when this thing is like, well, it's so low you need a golf club to hit the ball.
A wedge club.
Yeah, it really, you kind of wonder. I mean, the only profession that's allowed to get, you know, a 50-50 chance of getting it right is a weatherman. And even they're not universally celebrated
yeah.
for that.
Yeah. What really bothered me in the Cub game, the little that I got to see it, is that the one pitch that was so in the middle of the strike zone, surely, and the umpire blew it. And Greg Console just sat in the dugout. You know, they can yell up to a point at the umpire, but
Yeah.
he does nothing. He's the most low-profile, low-key manager I've ever seen, and that's apparently his style. I guess they don't want to. Maybe they're under orders by major league officials that don't incite the crowd any more than they're already incited due to alcohol.
Yeah, well, yeah, that plus, you know, at some point in time, what are you going to do? You're gonna let the players and the coaches run wild, or do you have to keep a handle on this just so that you don't get the beer and brat crowd throwing the chairs out onto the field?
Yeah. Fortunately, that hasn't happened. You know, one of the joys about watching sporting events on television and you're not there is you can see how ridiculous some fans become.
Oh, yeah.
Out of control. And you think, you know what, I wonder if I'm that bad. I know I've been to Bradley games where I've yelled, not ever profanity, that's stupid. That only shows how dumb you are. But some fans get terribly out of control. And when you're in the comfort of your home looking at them and say, how could they be that stupid? And yet I can recall when I was that stupid.
Well,
at Bradley games.
yeah, I've been to many a game with my wife, and she, first of all,
She's your governor, isn't she?
oh,
Is in a car.
she's well, actually,
Or is
you know,
she worse?
she's worse.
Oh,
Oh my
okay.
God, yes. No, I mean I'm in basketball in particular because I have, virtually no knowledge of what a foul is other than double dribbling, and even that is kind of for me, I don't know what I'm talking about. But
But
she will.
does, though.
Yeah, I'm the one like, holding on to her shirt tails, trying to keep her from jumping onto the court and slapping
Well,
the
she
referee.
played the game and
Well, yeah,
played for the
and
University of Illinois, and
she's
so she knows basketball.
Very passionate about it, and she does. Frankly, she knows more about sports than I'll. Well, she's forgotten more about sports than I'll ever know, and I would say she probably still knows more than most commentators on TV.
Oh, I'm sure of that. You got him. All right, we'll continue with our fun with sports, and we have 45 degrees, and we also have our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. When you are shopping for a new pet and have chosen to make the responsible choice of adopting from a rescue, make sure that you are going through a respectable, well-known rescue group. It is very sad to say, but there are a lot of disreputable groups or individuals playing on your sympathies. So how do you find a legitimate rescue? Check with your state's listing of ratings for 501c3 organizations. This listing will tell you how long they've been in business and what percentage of their money goes for pets versus salaries and facilities, as reported to the IRS in their latest 990. It's an impartial determination. The other thing to look for is if this site or rescue group only adopts out a certain type of animal that could be called a designer breed. These are often puppy mills masquerading as rescues. You need to research these fully. Now, that's not to say that a Schnauzer or Pit Bull rescue group is not legit. Those are specific breeds. What I'm talking about is a group that has dogs they call cute names like Bassadors or Chiweenies or Poodles mixed with some other breed, and these are the only breeds they offer. That's your red flag to check further. Being a responsible pet owner starts before you even purchase your pet. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. Always a pleasure. We sure get a lot of good information. Our thanks to Peoria Pet Crematory for making the pet tip of the day possible. Well, the big news, and it is big news, there apparently has been an agreement by both sides, Hamas and Israel, for ending the war in Gaza, and that is exciting news. As I said earlier in the program, I'm surprised the local TV news did not make that their lead story, and I'm surprised because this is something that I think most people said would never happen, or certainly wouldn't happen in my lifetime, and it has. And all the hostages, both those who are deceased and still being held by Hamas, and those who are alive, will be released, I believe, on Monday. Is one of the latest breaking stories.
I don't think that's a hard certainty, but that's the most likely scenario is a release on Monday. And of course, everybody wants to not only see who is among those still alive, what kind of condition they're in, and what kind of stories they can tell us, and where it goes from here, I don't know. I mean, the remaining people who are associated with Hamas, I don't think are going to suddenly become pacifists. So
Right.
We'll need to see what some of the other structure of this peace agreement is. There's obviously been talk about a two-state resolution to this, where the Palestinians get their own country, their own sovereign state.
Right.
Can that actually happen, and can they coexist next to each other?
And here's the thing. I mean, the two-state solution has been, offered before, and
since 1947.
Yeah, and so far it's either one or two things has happened. Either the Palestinian, residents, however you want to describe them, have either refused, or they've turned into a government. They've elected a government of Hamas, which it's like lighting matches in a gasoline factory. It just is the prelude. So yeah, I mean, as much as I laud what's happened here, I'm definitely in the wait and see camp. And where are we going to be 6 months from now, or for that matter, where are we going to be 6 days from now, if Hamas doesn't release all the hostages, which they have done several times just since the beginning of this war, where they've said, okay, we're going to release all the prisoners, and then they go, no, we're not. So, if you're talking about who's been the obstructionist in this scenario, for the most part, it's been the Palestinians themselves. But, again, this is the most movement we've had since this whole event has started, and I'm looking forward to seeing hostilities stop. Hopefully we can prevent any more civilian casualties, and people will play nice in the sandbox. I mean, hope springs eternal.
Oh, I like that. Well said, my friend. And again, congratulations to the President of the United States. However this winds up, and we hope it's very successful, although there is a degree of skepticism, as you've indicated, certainly this guy has pulled it off again. And wouldn't it be wonderful if Chucky Schumer or Jeffries or somebody in the Democrat Party went before the cameras? I want to commend the President of the United States for pulling this off.
Not going to happen.
But I know that's because we've become so polarized politically that nobody wants to give anybody any credit if they're on the opposite side of the political aisle. And that's really not only stupid, but it's unconscionable. We need to celebrate if this is because for one thing, that puts an end to the pro-Palestinian riots and demonstrations that we've had and protests, etc. That's all over. They have nothing to argue about. And Donald Trump has an opportunity to do some things in the Middle East that may bring a lasting peace.
Well, isn't this the whole point of the Palestinian protests right now, is to stop the war and bring aid and help to the Palestinian people that are living in Gaza. Regardless of which side you're on, everyone, I think, wants to see the killing stopped. And, well, I mean, frankly, I can't imagine anyone that wouldn't. However, in some respects, I see that Hamas may not, if this takes the focus off them being oppressed. They're not. I don't know that they'll be in favor of it in the long term, which is why I'm holding my breath in some respects over this. But if this is an actual agreement between all parties, that should solve a myriad of problems and take us to the next level, which will be providing aid and rebuilding this area so these people have a place to live, jobs to work, and give them the ability to live their lives as they wish. Hopefully that, living their lives as they wish will also allow the Israelis to live as they wish without further incursions by Hamas with rockets and attacks against the Israeli civilian population.
Well said. All right, we have more on the peace plan and the settlement, hopefully, and an end of the war in Gaza and other details of breaking stories taking place. We'll keep you up to date with the best news in Peoria Radio right here on WACU FM 90.7 and on YouTube as well, and supported also with news from WCBU, the best in Peoria. Everybody, it is Thursday, the 9th day of October. Boy, time flies when you're having fun. Time for a look of the news and weather. Let's start with the weather brought to you by Spoon River Home Health. They've been around since 1993, locally owned and operated. Spoon River Home Health can take care of you and your loved one. They're available 24/7. You can reach them at Spoon River, 309-245-0723. Another sunny day today, around 70 degrees the high. Overnight low tonight, 47 tomorrow. Increasing cloudiness, 73 sunny and 72 on Saturday. Sunday we're up to a 74. And right now we are at 45 degrees. Now with our lead story, here's Mike.
Thanks, Roger. Well, folks, it's finally happened. President Donald Trump has announced Hamas has joined Israel in ending the Gaza war. The president said on Truth Social that Hamas and Israel had signed off on the first phase of the Trump peace plan. This means that all the hostages will be released and Israel will withdraw troops from the war zone. Trump said that this is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America.
The president thanked the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, who he said worked with the United States to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement, and I quote, "With God's help, we'll bring all of the hostages home." The Prime Minister said he'll convene the government to approve the agreement today, and they have.
Meanwhile, the president is having a hard time settling the war in this country with domestic terrorists fighting ICE agents, especially in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. J.B. Pritzker, sounding more like Herman Goering than governor of Illinois, remains defiant in opposition of the work of federal agents who've arrested more than 1,600 criminal immigrants.
And a hearing will be held in Chicago today where a judge will consider a request by the governor and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for a temporary restraining order in order to block the National Guard deployment. But as we know, they're already there. The lawsuit filed by the two politicians allege that Trump-ordered deployment is politically motivated by him, unconstitutional and unlawful. Trump said Pritzker and his Johnson, and I think he was joking that more than anything, should be in jail for failing to protect ICE agents who've been attacked and injured by rioters, particularly in Broadview, Illinois, which has become a war zone. And many of the people who are there are from out of the state of Illinois.
Oh, most of them.
Yeah.
Broadview is a heavily African American suburb, just outside of Chicago on the west side, and it's heavily African American. I think 70-80%, something like that. And so you can tell that these are not residents of that area.
Broadview,
right?
Yeah.
Well, former FBI agent James Comey, or actually Director James Comey, was in court yesterday and pled not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress and obstructed congressional proceedings. The Biden-appointed judge released Comey on his own recognizance. His trial is set for January of next year. In the meantime, Comey's attorney will seek to have the charges against him dismissed.
Don't you like that legal word, recognizes?
Yeah, I always like recognizes.
Recog.
Yeah.
A judge in South Carolina, this is a terrible story, has sentenced an illegal immigrant to 1 year, just 1 year in jail after he hit and then ran from the accident, fatally injuring a University of South Carolina student. 24-year-old, this is the guy's name, Rosalie Cruz, turned in front of 21-year-old motorcyclist Nate Baker. Cruz fled the scene as the student was dying of his injuries on a street in Columbia, South Carolina. The judge gave the light sentence over objections of prosecutors who said the driver had 3 other traffic violations. And if you read the into the weeds of this story, the judge just was not sympathetic to the poor kid and his family. They were more sympathetic to the guy who hit and killed the motorcyclist. Right. It's another example of someone who doesn't deserve to be on the bench judging others.
Well, I mean, the question I have is, what's the likelihood that this 24-year-old illegal immigrant had insurance on the car, which just adds insult to injury to the family and the decedent?
Yeah, unbelievably, but it just shows you how wide the division is between certain ideas and beliefs. The family forgave. They're very Christian and forgave the illegal immigrant for having killed their son.
Well, Peoria police announced the arrest of 35-year-old Calvin Freeman in connection with the shooting of a 34-year-old woman last Sunday morning. She reportedly was shot in the chest in the 3400 block of West Hayes Street and was taken by car to a local hospital. Freeman has been charged with aggravated domestic battery.
The debate in Peoria Heights on how and who should respond to fire and medical emergencies has been settled, we think. The trustees finally agreed to sign an agreement with the City of Peoria Fire Department for support in fighting fires and helping with medical emergencies in the village. The vote actually wound up as a tie at 3-3, broken by the mayor, Matt Whittakin, in favor of the agreement. That's a look at some of the stories we're following. Now we have news from WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. Washington city leaders are considering action to improve attendance at board and commission meetings. This week, the City Council discussed a proposed ordinance amendment that would allow for removing members who miss multiple meetings. Alderperson Mike McIntyre applauds the idea.
We assign people, and Mayor, you recommend people, and we approve it here for these commissions for a reason.
The City Council will vote on the amendment at its October 20th meeting. Illinois Community College's Vice President of Workforce and Diversity says they're trying to work through financial aid challenges tied to federal DEI restrictions. Arnatria Shaw says the problem stems from changed definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
When we think about equity, we're thinking about giving every student what they need, not one student a benefit over another student. And part of that means we have to look at how those relationships play out.
She says diminished funding for higher education will have a domino effect across the entire community. Governor J.B. Pritzker is vowing not to back down against President Trump after he said the governor and Mayor Brandon Johnson deserve to be jailed. Early Wednesday, Trump floated imprisonment for both Illinois officials for not doing enough to protect ICE agents. On Tuesday, the governor drew laughs at a forum with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz when asked about the comments.
You both believe that you could sincerely be arrested?
Yes. I'm asking any of you to come visit me in the gulag in El Salvador.
Pritzker's El Salvador reference was to the notorious Central American mega prison where Trump's administration has sent scores of migrants. A new device developed in central Illinois aims to help kids with cancer stay active. Nick Kemp is an exercise physiologist with OSF's Heller Center in Peoria. He worked with OSF's Innovation Center to create a protective covering for chest ports used to administer treatment.
It's under the skin, but it's very sensitive still. And so any types of bumps in that area cause kids to kind of be reserved or more cautious.
Kemp's now in the process of partnering with other institutions to continue testing and refining it. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into the world of sports with Dr. Gene Sedler. Yes, well, we'll take care of that right now.
Get my screen time, Roger.
There you go.
And I had to get my donut in the microwave. Now sports.
Thank
Brought
you.
to you by BradleyFans.com.
Oh, thank you, Roger. Well, baseball yesterday, all four of the series going on right now were in action yesterday. We'll start first with the Cubs. Game 3 of their series with the Milwaukee Brewers, a do-or-die game for the Chicago Cubs up at Wrigley Field, and it was the Cubs prevailing, beating the Brewers 4-3. Last night to cut the Brewers' lead in the series now to 2-1. And that's a best-of-5 series, so Brewers only need one more to eliminate the Cubs. The Cubs scored 4 runs in the first inning. It looked like they might be, they looked like they might be off to a big offensive game, but then the bats went quiet and they never scored again after that. But the pitching held up and held the Brewers to just 3 runs, so the Cubs end up winning 4-3. Now, Game 4 of this series, another elimination game for the Cubs, is tonight at Wrigley Field. Kind of a late start, 8:08 p.m. on the TBS network. And if it does go to 5 games, Saturday will be the Game 5 at 3:30 p.m. Go Cubbies. And Game 4 in the American League series between the Tigers and the Seattle Mariners. The Tigers also staved off an elimination game, beating the Seattle Mariners 9-3, evening that series at 2 games apiece. And the deciding Game 5 is tomorrow, Friday at 3:08 p.m. in Seattle. Game 4 of the Toronto Blue Jays New York Yankees series, with the Blue Jays leading 2-1, and it was all Blue Jays. They led from wire to wire to beat the Yankees 5-2, and to eliminate the Yankees 3-1. In the series, the Yankees pitching gave up 34 runs over the 4 games to the Blue Jays, who look like they're really stroking the ball pretty well right now. They advanced to play the winner of the Los Angeles Dodgers-Philadelphia Phillies series, which is still in progress. That next National League Championship Series between the Phillies and their opponent will start Monday. And in that other series between the Phillies and the Dodgers, it was former Cub Kyle Schwarber with 2 home runs to lead the Phillies to an 8-2 win over the Dodgers. Los Angeles still leads that series 2-1, and Game 4 is today in Los Angeles. It's a 5:08 p.m. game on TBS. You would think if that game is in Los Angeles, why not put that one as the late game, because it's going to start 2 hours
Now you're asking
earlier.
baseball officials to use their brains.
Yeah, so they're putting a game in Los Angeles at 5:08 p.m. and a game in Chicago at 8:08 p.m. And of course, remember, a couple days ago, they had these games on the same TBS network back to back, and we missed the first. I don't know if you tried watching that. The Seiya Suzuki 3-run home run in the first inning didn't get shown because the game between the Phillies and the Dodgers lasted a little bit too long.
Yeah, but here's the deal. I do believe baseball officials, they're not in charge. The TV people are.
That's true.
and they call when they want the game because they're paying the big bucks to carry it.
Well, they should leave a little bit more room between the games so that you don't have that
But they're
preempting effect.
But they're competing networks now.
Yes, I understand. But TBS owns TNT and they own True TV.
I didn't know that.
So they could actually switch or maybe finish showing the end of one game and maybe put the other game on a different network at least. Well, delay it, or I don't think that would work as well, but just maybe switch the start of that game to another network so somebody interested in that game, like the entire Midwest, who's not interested in the Phillies or the Dodgers, and maybe wants to see Milwaukee, Chicago, that they can actually catch the beginning of their game.
Yeah, but
ESPN does that. They'll move ESPN to
because they have different
ESPN2
channels,
because they've got different channels.
Yeah. Now, you're a little unkind to Phil Salzer. You said nobody in the Midwest is interested in the Phillies. Phil Salzer would take umbrage.
That was
at
a rhetorical nobody. There are obvious, and I know Dodger fans. I know people who are Dodger fans.
Did you see how many Dodger fans showed up in the series near the end of the season at Wrigley Field? Well, where did they come out of the woodwork?
They can travel well when they've got good teams. Yeah. Anyway,
Elsewhere,
so much for baseball. Thursday night football game tonight is the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. Eagles 4-1. Giants off to a disappointing 1-4 start. Philadelphia is a 6.5-point favorite in the Meadowlands. It's actually New Jersey, but we call them the New York Giants. There are 12 NFL games Sunday and 2 on Monday night, and it's the Chicago Bears playing a Monday night game against the Washington Commanders out in Washington, D.C. Bears 2-2 on the season. The Commanders 3-2 so far. That game will be on ABC. Washington a 6.5-point favorite over our Bears. Go Bears. And we got college football this weekend. Illinois up 5 spots to number 17 in the AP Top 25, and they're at home against the number 1 ranked team, 5-0 on the season, Ohio State University. But just a 6.5-point favorite on the betting lines. Notre Dame's up 5 spots to number 16 in the top 25. They will play at home against North Carolina State. North Carolina State's a rebuilding program. They're 2-4 on the season. That one's on the Peacock Network. Now again, that's NBC's premium streaming,
you gotta pay for that,
and you got to subscribe. And a lot of Notre Dame fans not happy that they can't watch that game without buying a subscription for that. That's a bummer.
When it comes down to that, then you have to go old school and just find the radio station, WGN or.
Well, and if you're creative, there are also these bootleg pirate type websites that will stream it for you. And, it's obviously a violation of trademark copyright laws.
How are they going to check that?
The FCC does try to police that, but most of these websites are not in the U.S. They're offshore or in Europe or in some other country, and it's not easy for our FCC to police something in Slovenia or something.
Do you know you can buy from Amazon a device that gets everything for nothing?
I don't know what you mean by that. Well, you mean I got to buy a car for nothing?
No. What it is, it's called a super box, and you can install that and get anything and everything absolutely free.
Well, I will.
It's against the law, but people have them.
I will
look into that.
I'll look into it. But I have a website, and I probably shouldn't show this. This website has every channel you ever want to watch free, including premium and subscription channels. So if I want to watch, what's the one that the Cubs are on most of the time is Marquee. There's the Marquee Sports Network. I just click on that and it pops up.
That's amazing. Where did you get that?
And that's a subscription now. That was free up until the first of this month.
Okay, how much does it cost?
How much does this cost?
Well, yeah.
It's a
well,
free
you said it's free up until this month.
No, if you on Xfinity, if you have the Marquee Network, it's no longer free for you. I didn't know that. Xfinity. No, most people don't because the Cubs aren't on it anymore. They're over on the other networks. But yes, try getting the Marquee Network on your TV at home now. You won't get it. You'll get a pop-up screen that says this now requires a subscription. And
Well, I'm a Cub fan, but I'm not that big a Cub fan.
Yeah, you're probably not going to want to pay for that because 99% of the time the Cubs aren't on, but that's what's on right now. Yeah, there's actually dozens of these kind of, we call them pirate sites.
So how did you get all those on your laptop?
You just go to the website and they're all right there. It's free. You don't have to do anything. I won't give the web address, but I will off the air to you if you want.
Please do that, yes. I'll give you Krispy Kreme
But
donut.
yeah, I mean, here's the NBA network here. Like I say, it goes on forever. There's 150
That's
of them,
amazing.
something like that. Any subscription, there's the Disney Channel. You have to pay for that, but if you want to watch it here, it's totally free. There it is.
Yeah, and you also, I don't know whether I should say it, but I will.
It's going to be cast to your TV, or you can hook by cable, or you can you can sit here and watch it full screen on your computer if you want.
I would submit that our friend Mike Tantino over there probably has DirecTV.
I'll bet he has a dish or something.
Yeah, we've got the Elon Musk Skylink or Starlink. Yeah, we have Starlink. So we stream. That's my wife's. It's in her purview. She's the one that decides what we stream. I just, from time to time, yell from my room, "Hey, what's the password for this one?"
That's funny.
Hey, they just sent you something to your phone. Give me the 5-digit number so I can punch it in and get access.
How do you guys keep track of all the passwords that you have to have to get into this and that and everything?
Your browser will save them for you. If you don't, you ever get that little pop-up that says, "Would you like?" I don't know what browser you use, but I use something called Chrome. It'll pop up and say, "Would you like Chrome to save this password for you?" And I always just say yes.
Yes, yeah.
Because I don't take.
I have that. Louis Linder, who's a dear friend of this station and yours truly, he's my electronic genius. Although I do have Kathy helps once in a while, but there are so many things you have. Like I wanted to follow up on something medically. And she said, "Do you have my chart?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't know how to get into it."
Well, every website, even if you don't have your password, will say if you forgot your password, click here.
And then go to your email.
And then they will
so then
email
I have
you
to
a link.
shut everything down to go to my email. And then when
I don't know why you have to shut it down. Just go to it. Just open a separate window.
But I don't know how to do that. Yeah, you're going to give me a lesson.
Roger,
I will give you a quick lesson.
You need to have a 7th grader in your house.
How about a 5th grader?
There's a little plus sign over at the end here, and you click it, and it opens up a new window, and there's your email. And then you click on your email.
But how do you get back to where you were before?
Then you just go back to the tab that has what you were on before. They're all different tabs. It's very complicated.
I don't want to have to do all of that.
It's impossible to understand.
Yeah. That's right. And without a PhD in computer technology, there's no hope. These are not toasters.
And because I don't know my passwords and so forth, I still get people who defraud me. I just went through a process with my bank where I had 5 charges, 3 of them out of California, 1 out of Georgia, and I don't know where the other one was. I said, and it's a debit card that I have. So I never use it to charge anything because I have Discover. I've been with Discover since 1864. So that's the card I use. Well, somehow they got my debit card number. And
it goes onto the dark web, and whoever got it puts it on there for sale, and that's why 5 different people bought it and charged something on it.
And I got a big kick out of it because the bank is investigating, and one of the companies that and the three consecutive charges were for the same amount, and I wanted to tell the bank, look, when you get the same amount from 3 different quote merchants, shouldn't that be a red flag to you? But they've been very, very kind, very cordial. And one of them said, the merchant has refunded the charge. I said, well, who is the merchant? Because I want to call and say, where did this come from, et cetera. But they won't give it to me.
Yeah, they may not tell you that. But they do write it off.
Yeah.
That's the nice
Well,
thing about most of those.
they haven't written it all off, but we're in the process. It was a total of $595, almost
Wow.
$600 from 5 different charges.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. And it went from the highest, which was 197, to one for $8.99.
If you never use a card,
And I never use a card for
probably
charges.
cancel it because that just reduces the chances.
Well, what we did
Somebody
was
getting it.
we canceled the card and issued a new one.
Well, that they will automatically do that if you file a disputed claim. We've had that happen a couple of times where we've had a claim that we did not feel that we charged, and you call the little 800 number on the back of the card, and they're very nice, and they'll
Everybody's been very nice.
Yeah, they'll cancel the charge and refund your money, and then they will send you a new card.
If they write it off, they're very nice. If they don't, then okay, can I get angry? And when I talked to the young lady, her first name was Jessica. Jessica, if you're listening, you are a sweetheart.
Sure she's
very
watching.
glad. Yeah.
But they wrote off your $12,000 charge you told us about.
That was Discover. And that came out of California as well. California is the pits for all these defrauders. And when I asked the attorney for Discover, I said, we're writing this off because I know it's fraudulent. And I said, can you tell me who it was that did this? And she said, no. She said, Mr. Monroe, we write off several $1 million every year, and we can't track them all down.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and they know that.
They make between 3 and
The bad
4%
guys.
on everything
Every transaction.
charged by that card. So you just imagine how many billions of dollars that is. People using their cards
constantly,
constantly,
well,
all everywhere.
And with the amount of fraud that goes on, you kind of figure, okay, you're taking 3% of every transaction. So even if it's just $1 out of every 100 that's a fraudulent transaction that they write off, don't even prosecute, don't even go any more than like, meh, that's life. That's still 2/3. That's less than 1/3 of the money they're making. Mm-hmm. The numbers when you go and look at per transaction over the course of a year, it's mind-boggling the amount of money these companies are making, charging, when people use their charge card or, for that matter, their debit card. And the debit card is, hey, that's not like a no-lose proposition because if there's no money in the bank, the transaction doesn't go through. Unlike credit cards where, at the end of the month, if John Q. Public is a deadbeat, we'll throw that card out and we'll apply for another one now and just let that one go by the wayside and tell them to go pound sand when they start sending me ugly letters to collect.
Yeah, and it's, I guess it's, what is it? That's life?
That's
is
life.
That what it is, I think. Who sang that anyway?
I think this guy did.
Okay.
Frank Sinatra.
That's life.
Yeah, that's life. Yeah.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune. When I'm back on top in June. I said that's life.
That's life. But boy, I'll tell you what, it sure puts you through the stress mill when you think, like when I got the $12,000 charge on my credit card, and I called them, I said, I'm paying $9.99 for you guys to protect me from this crap, and you let this go through without calling me? I said, you guys ought to have your head examined, and I said, and I'm not going to pay it. And they went to work, and they did what they did. And that's life.
And I said, okay.
And I said, okay. Hey, we're going to talk to Julie Bickelhaupt, who is announced she's going to run against Eric Sorensen. And we're going to talk to her and learn a little bit more about who Julie is. So let's get into the news at the bottom of the hour. And we have 45 degrees. We'll start with a check of the weather brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor. He's with the Grandview Capital Group. For investment needs, there it is, Bob Manning. He's available at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, LLC member, SIPC. What do you have for the weather, Roger? Well, it's going to be another beautiful fall day, sunny, and a high of 70 degrees. Overnight low 47. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness and 73. Sunny, 72 on Saturday, 74 on Sunday. And we are at 45 degrees. And now the news. Here's Mike Tantino.
Thank you, Roger. Well, President Donald Trump has announced Hamas has joined Israel in ending the Gaza war. The president said on Truth Social that Hamas and Israel had signed off on the first phase of the Trump peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released and Israel will withdraw troops from the war zone. Trump said that this is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. The president thanked mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, who he said worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement, "With God's help, we will bring all of the hostages home." The Prime Minister said that he will convene the government to approve the agreement today. In this country, the president's having a hard time settling the war with domestic terrorists fighting ICE agents, especially in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. J.B. Pritzker remains defiant in opposition to the work of federal agents who've arrested more than 1,600 criminal immigrants. A hearing will be held today where a judge will consider a request by the governor and the Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for a temporary restraining order to block the National Guard deployment. The lawsuit, filed by the two politicians, alleges that Trump ordered the deployment and which they say is politically motivated, unconstitutional, and unlawful. Trump said Pritzker and Johnson should be in jail for failing to protect ICE agents who've been attacked and injured by rioters in Broadview, Illinois. Former FBI Director James Comey was in court yesterday and pled not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress and obstructed congressional proceedings. The Biden-appointed judge released Comey on his own recognizance. His trial was set for January of next year. In the meantime, Comey's attorneys will seek to have the charges against him dropped. Peoria police announced the arrest of 35-year-old Calvin Freeman in connection with the shooting of a 34-year-old woman last Sunday morning. She reportedly was shot in the chest in the 3400 block of West Hayes Street and was taken by car to a local hospital. Freeman has been charged with aggravated domestic battery. The debate in Peoria Heights on how and who should respond to fire emergencies has been settled. Trustees agreed to sign an agreement with the City of Peoria Fire Department for support in fighting fires and helping with medical emergencies. The vote actually ended in a 3-3 tie, which was broken with Mayor Matt Wigington in favor of the agreement. And this morning, in just a few moments, we're going to talk with Julie Bickelhaupt of Carroll County in Illinois, a Republican who's announced that she will run against Eric Sorensen for Congress from the 17th District. She's a lifelong Illinois resident, a farmer, mother, and community leader. She thinks that the district needs a new and responsible leader. She'll join us by phone right after this newscast, and that's the end of the news.
Yeah.
Roger.
Well, the timing is perfect because we have Julie on the line. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing absolutely wonderful. Let's begin with where Carroll County is, and since it mentioned that you live in Carroll County, I assume you live in the country.
I do. I live in Carroll County, but I live right outside of Mount Carroll. We have a farm between Mount Carroll and Savannah. So, yeah, I live in the county, but between those two towns.
Well, tell us a little bit about Julie Bickelhaupt. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. If I'm not, correct us.
That's right, bickelhaupt. People are like, that is a tough name. And I said, think of a pickle that's hopping. Yeah. And I said, just put a B on it, bickelhaupt. So that helps people out and helps remember it.
Yeah, a good slogan. Yes. Don't be in a pickle, vote for bickelhaupt.
That's right. I'm going to use that.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, go ahead. I'm a seventh-generation farmer, so I grew up on a farm down in Bond County, actually. And I went to college at the University of Illinois, where I met my husband, and we moved up north to Mount Carroll, where his family also farms, and that's what we've been doing for the last 26 years. We have three children, twins, a boy-girl twin that are 24. The oldest boy is back helping us farm, and we have a 21-year-old that's at the University of Illinois as a senior, and he's ready to come back and farm. We also have an insurance business, which I don't delve into the insurance, but I do the payroll and the book work for that and the farm as well. And then I'm the county board chair for Carroll County. So that's a little bit about myself.
Wow, you're a woman of many, many talents, obviously well qualified to be a member of our Congress and the House of Representatives. How did you get involved in politics? What motivated you?
You know, I've always been involved in organizations from being young in 4-H, and then also serving as, president of our local FFA and section vice president. So I've always wanted to be involved and work on issues and problems. And even locally, I ran the ball organization. I've coached teams. So even before getting really into the political stream, I've been in Republican Women for quite a few years. Hard to be active when my kids were busy and where I was farming, but as they were able to take care of themselves, I got in a little more to the political stuff, Central Committee, and then I ran for the board. Actually, I was appointed to the board at one point and then ran again and was appointed chair then. So that's kind of how it's progressed. And I've really enjoyed, being involved and learning more. So that's kind of where I've headed in my political career.
What do you see are the issues in this campaign against Eric Sorensen?
Issues that I see really, and the reason I'm running is, Eric Sorensen has not been a strong voice for the 17th District. He's been a non-present and really not a good representation of the district. So that was my real push to run, was to be a voice, to be a resident that resonates with a lot of people within the district, and to show up and even, I feel my voice hasn't been heard even as a county board chair. We had some issues that it was federal funding to state funding and a pass-through, and I couldn't figure out why money wasn't moving, and, tried to talk to their staff, had a phone call, never heard back again. So I've heard stories over and over of this happening, and I just really feel like he's not really doing the job he's supposed to, and I want to be that person that can help problem solve for the district and show up as a congressperson.
Julie, how have the tariffs affected you in the farming industry?
Sure, yes. Tariffs have been probably an issue in the markup of inputs, especially. If you look year over year at commodity prices, probably for the last 3 years, commodity prices have been about where they are. So that hasn't changed a lot. We would like a better commodity price, granted. But the tariffs, and they could have an effect on soybeans next year, I would say, based on what I'm seeing and hearing. But for way too long, we have been at the mercy of other countries' tariffs, and it hasn't been equal. It does appear to me to be something that needs to be adjusted, needs to be dealt with. but we're feeling a little bit of pain from those tariffs. And like most things that need corrected, there is pain before there's a fix. But I hope that corrects quickly. I hope we can do something, and I hope we feel some support from the government, and I think we will. But that's kind of how I've seen the tariffs on this side of things.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that you farm corn and soybeans.
Yes, we have corn, soybeans, and hay, because we also have a cow-calf herd of Hereford cattle. So we do have livestock as well.
You're pretty DEI when it comes to farming.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Or another. We have a wonderful farm advisor. He farms down around Logan County in Emden, Illinois, and he checks in with us every now and then. So he's given us enough information to make us dangerous. And that is, he's talked about having a pretty good crop this year that he's harvested, and the weather's been eventually very cooperative. He pointed out that when you have drought conditions, that while it doesn't sound good, on the other hand, he said we don't have to take the corn and have it dried as much at elevators as we have in previous years. Does that pretty well hold true in Mount Carroll?
Yeah, I would say that the same is true, and we really have dried down very quickly within the past, I would say, three weeks. We actually had more rain up this way than south of us.
Yeah.
And in traveling through the district, I've really seen the difference in drought through this district, throughout the state. I was even further south at one point, and they were super dry. We have had a few more rains, but within the last, I'd say, 3 weeks, we have had really none. We've got like a quarter of an inch 2 days ago, and I feel like our yields are doing fairly well. People are saying, and we're in beans still. We're having breakdown after breakdown. So I'm hoping to finish up beans soon. But a lot of people saying the corn is drying down super quickly, and they're not having to dry things a lot.
So when it comes to farm legislation, you're going to be at the forefront because you've been there, done that, and still doing that, as a matter of fact. Can I ask you how many acres you farm?
We farm about 900 acres.
So that's a pretty good size farm. I know you know what's going on in the world, and you are informed about what President Trump has accomplished in bringing peace to Gaza and the Middle East. What are your thoughts at this point with the leadership, particularly in foreign affairs, with Donald Trump?
I feel like Donald Trump really tries to work in foreign affairs to negotiate or help the different countries negotiate for equitable situation. That's not always the easiest to do, but I do think he has done a good job working with his advisors and working with those other countries to settle things, which really needs to happen. When things are volatile in other countries, they're also volatile in the United States. So I do think that's an important business practicality he has, and that he does a pretty good job at that.
Julie bickelhaupt is our guest this morning, running for the 17th Congressional District. And what's been the response once you made the announcement that you're running for Congress?
Gosh, well, I've had quite a bit of support throughout the district. Attending the University of Illinois, we have diverse friends throughout the district, and that's been super helpful. But I've had GOP leaders, and I've met with a lot of sheriffs and Central Committee groups, and everyone's been super helpful and have tried to help me along and get me some contacts. And really, that is one of the more difficult things within this district, is really being present in the whole district. It's honestly, and I was having this conversation with someone the other day, a disservice to the people of the district, or even any district, for it to be spread out like it is. Whether you're in office or you're running for that office, it's difficult to get in those areas and really be present to meet people. If it was around you for an hour to an hour and a half, radius, it would be much easier to serve those people, where right now that the long district and the stretched out district really, it's a disservice to the constituents, really. So I hope that can be changed, but you know, that's what I've seen in my travels throughout the district.
One final, well, Mike Dentino, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to bring, because I was looking at a map of the 17th, and, you know, I'd like to sit down with whoever proposed and set up this map, because they've managed to grade, because I would be willing to bet a lot of the people in the 17th district haven't actually looked at a map of it, because you're representing Rockford, you're representing Peoria, and you're representing Bloomington in this rather erratically, relatively C-shaped map that spans, you know, urban and rural areas. And I mean, any district can reasonably go urban and rural, but it's just kind of silly because you're going the entire length of Interstate 39 just to get from Rockford to Bloomington to try to cover, and I can't imagine it's easy for you trying to make a connection with people, just physically trying to get around the district to see folks in Galesburg, folks in Rockford, folks in Mount Carroll and Decatur and all this. It's like,
even Decatur?
Well, no, I guess Decatur's outside, but
I say it's Bloomington. Decatur's a little south.
yeah, a little south, but yeah, I mean, you go down to almost to Hayworth,
yes.
And you know, rural districts are going to be expansive anyway, but to try to rope in, you know, over a third of the state in one district really kind of puts you at a disadvantage physically. Like I said, just trying to get to everyone to shake hands and kiss babies and get your name out there.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a challenge. And like I said, it's really too bad, because one of the things I really found I've enjoyed with the campaign is meeting people and talking to people and you know, talking about what, you know, my platform is, but also what are their concerns and what are the issues. And it's really hard to do that sometimes when you can't spend very much time. Like, you know, I'll drive down to Bloomington and I might spend a whole day there.
Right.
But then I've got to drive back home. It's not like I can go back the next day or in 2 days. I really have to make a day out of it to really, you know, use my time most wisely. And, you know, that's not always convenient for the people that are in that area. Maybe they don't have time to meet me that day. So it does make it more difficult. And it, like I said, even for someone that would be hold that office, it's not fair to those constituents, because I'm sure they have a much harder time getting that person in their area as well.
Right. Well, plus I think it really does effectively reduce Republican representation.
That's the whole
in
purpose.
The Congress, which is, yeah, of course it's all, because you've
all
got
gerrymandered.
Yeah, you've got 4 major metropolitan areas here, which are going to have a large tranche of Democratic voters.
They take a bite out of each of those to try to neutralize the heavily Republican rest of that district. Yeah, that's exactly right.
It would just be easier if we okay, let's divide everything east of 39 goes one way and west of, you know, use the interstates and just kind of lump everybody. But, you know, I'm an idiot, so what do I know?
Well, you know, if you told a kid in school to equally, you know, split out a state by, say, a certain amount of numbers have to be in each of these chunks, they would draw out probably like squares or rectangles, correct? So,
yeah, you know, that would make sense.
Who decided not to do that? Who decided not to do that?
Yeah, well,
doesn't
you
make
know,
sense
that's
to me.
Supposedly brighter minds than ours are running us, or at least that's always the hope, but unfortunately I think the reality is something entirely different.
Well, you probably know, Julie, that former Congressman Ray LaHood, along with a Democrat, and I forget his name, have formed an organization to create a commission that would design and develop fair voting districts. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel, we hope.
Yes, I did see that was out there, and I do hope they can get something done with it, because Illinois needs some help.
Yeah, it does.
Desperately.
One final question, Julie Bickelhaupt.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're getting into?
A lot of people ask me that. I said, well, I don't know if I'm ambitious or I'm crazy, but either way, I've been that type of person all my life that when something happens or something's going wrong, I kind of run for the fire instead of running from the fire. So, I see problems and then I feel the need to figure out how to fix them because I don't like how it's being done. So I guess I've got tough skin, and it doesn't, I know people aren't always going to agree with me, and that's okay, because I'm probably not always going to agree with them either. But, I mean, the good thing is that we can have those conversations, and I think they should be had. And I think fairness and someone who has the best intention in mind, I'm not running because I want accolades. I'm running because I see issues that really bother me and are concerns to me, and I would like to see them fixed. And I want to know somebody with the right intentions is doing it. I want to know somebody with interest of mine, agriculture and families and security and safety, have that interest in mind and want to work in that direction. So, I guess I felt the call to do it.
Well, we thank you. We've enjoyed chatting with you, and we'll have continuing conversations as we get closer to the time where people will begin voting in the 17th District. Julie Bickelhaupt, thanks for taking time to be with us, and good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. And one final word. Don't forget there is a primary in March 17th. That's important to get out and vote. So please do that. And then if you want to check out more on me, I have a website, julieforillinois.com. Feel free to check that out.
Okay, I got it. Julie, have a great day. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
You bet.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Julie Bickelhaupt of Mount Carroll, Illinois, candidate for the Republican nomination for the 17th Congressional District. Forgot to ask her, which probably would not be a good idea. I assume, are there other Republicans that have thrown their hat in the ring for the 17th District?
I was just looking, and I cannot find that yet any have, but I would guess there will be some, one or more others. Bill Daley was that Democrat that Ray LaHood is working with on this redistricting commission.
Yeah.
He is the son of Richard J. Daley, the elder Daley mayor of Chicago, and the brother of Richard M. Daley, the second Daley to take over as mayor of Chicago. But Bill got more involved. He was the chief of staff for Bill Clinton for a while, and then he was the Secretary of Commerce under Barack Obama.
We need to get an update on where they are, because they have to have a signed number of petitions to get this on the ballot, I believe.
All I'm finding in doing a search is that they had put forth the plan for a 12-member legislative redistricting commission in August, so that's only 2 months ago, a little over 2 months. And
yeah, I think they want to get it on the ballot in March.
Apparently so. A ballot push, no, for the November 26th.
For the November, okay.
Ballot. Yeah.
Well, they got a lot
they
of
need
time to get the petition
over 328,000 signatures,
Wow.
and it doesn't tell me where they are yet on that.
Yeah. Well, I said to Ray when he exclusively announced this on our morning show, get us some petitions, and he said he would. So I don't know whether the petitions are available or not, but that's the system they use in Iowa, and it's been very successful.
Right.
And,
We
and
could sure
need
use
in
it. Illinois has some of the most incredible
the
gerrymandering.
gerrymander.
There's
How
one
the judges approved that shows they've been drinking the wrong.
There's one that runs from East St. Louis and like a serpent sneaks over to Champaign because there are a lot of Democrat votes among the University of Illinois professors there. So that's a way of getting one extra district that is Democratic in an area that is very heavily Republican in southern Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of these Illinois districts, they're just unconscionable. The way that they're set up, well, like the 15th district is the other half of that equation, because you've got these two big blobs of central Illinois.
Connected by one little Peninsula.
It's almost like
Isthmus.
gutted in the middle by this isthmus of,
I like that
of
word,
Democratic voters. Isthmus for Christmas. But I mean, it's the more I look at this, the more irritated I become, because and I'm willing to bet that most of the voters in these districts have never actually really looked at a map. All they know is, my ballot says I'm in the 17th, or I'm in the 15th, I'm in the
just tell me where I can vote.
Just tell me where I vote, and I vote. And they don't realize that their vote's not only been diluted, but their candidates have already been chosen for them. It's like you're allowed to vote, but it's not going to mean anything because we've
got the number.
That is the 15th district.
That's
and you can see that Democratic district from East St. Louis to Champaign to get one extra district out of that. And then the 15th district is heavily Republican, and that's one of 3 out of the, I think, 17 districts in Illinois that are Republicans. 14 of them are Democrats, even though nearly half of Illinois voters are Republican. Yeah.
Right.
You know what's happened is, what is disgusting is that judges have approved these plans, and anybody, a 3rd or 4th, 5th grader could say, well, that's not fair.
Right. Well, I mean, look, if you look at the states that surround us, Wisconsin, most of those districts are relatively square.
Yeah.
You know,
Indiana's like that.
Indiana's like that too. For a judge to have approved these maps, it's unconscionable, and it just demonstrates that
how politically correct Illinois is.
Not politically correct, just how politically corrupt this whole process is.
Corrupt.
Because it almost goes down streets, dividing one group from another.
Well, look how Peoria is split. Why is Peoria split?
Well, again, it's to get a few extra votes out of Peoria, Bloomington, Rockford, and the Quad Cities to neutralize the otherwise heavily Republican District 17 that was there before.
And let me point out, the same thing has happened in the county of Peoria in doing gerrymandering certain parts of the city in order to get one party have a voting advantage for that matter.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a shot of whiskey here, and we'll be right back.
Every 2 seconds, somebody in America needs blood. You can help by donating blood at your local American Red Cross. Donating blood is easy. It only takes about an hour, and a single donation can help save more than one life. This is Alex O'Loughlin asking you to donate blood to help somebody in need. A friend, a neighbor, or somebody you haven't even met. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE or visit them at givelife.org. The need is constant. The gratification is instant. Give blood.
Think about everything that you save. You save gas, you save money, you save time. But have you ever thought about saving life? That's right, life. In just 1 hour, you could save up to 3 lives, giving 3 people more time with the ones they love. And isn't that the best thing to save? The need for blood is as universal as it is constant. Save life, give blood.
That's a good idea. We currently have 46 degrees. High today is 70. Going to be a nice day. And we'll bring you a complete look at the forecast. And it's very simple. And that is, it's going to be sunny and pleasant for the most part.
It's nice to be able to leave the windows open and not run the air conditioner for a while.
See, I don't do that. I like the temperature to remain the same. No, I just don't want the pollen and whatever else. You know, I live right behind my yard is a field of, I guess, hay or straw
and moldy dirt.
And moldy,
No, really, I mean, that's where a lot of allergies come from, is from spores from the soil. So people who do live out in rural areas are more exposed to a lot of that stuff.
Hey, you have a yard service. Have they done their fall dropping or whatever they call it now?
Yes, he came by a couple weeks ago with that little thing that pokes the ground.
And
the aerator.
Now, what company do you use? I didn't use anybody this year, and I'm paying the penalty. I'm growing so many weeds.
It's
that
an East
I
Peoria
can't
guy, something Grounds. I can't remember what.
Golf course
Moberly is his name. East Peoria. I'll give him a. But he started his own company.
Well, he's probably reasonable then.
What did he call it here? Something Grounds. I don't remember what it is.
Well, you write to check out, don't you?
My wife does. She handles.
She's your head bookkeeper. Well,
like most marriages, the wife handles.
The wife handles.
Yeah.
Do you treat your own yard in Marshall County, Mike? Or do you have somebody come and do it?
Well, I have a Canadian group come down.
Called geese.
They're called geese. And they poop all over my yard,
and that's the aeration.
That's pretty much the aeration and the fertilization.
That's funny. It's a Canadian company.
Easier Grounds is what his company is, but it's Moberly's Lawn Service, East Peoria. He does a terrific job.
Does he really?
No, he's not cheap because we don't have a.
None of them are cheap. I'm telling you.
I mean, we don't have a big lawn, as you have seen it, Roger. It's relatively small and almost nothing in the back. But he does a terrific job. He keeps things from dying on me.
Well, I mean, it's getting more expensive now because now that we're deporting all these people back to Mexico and South America, we have to hire Americans for the jobs that they won't do, so we have to pay a lot more.
Well, do we get the fertilizer from China?
That's the other thing. Yeah, the fertilizer goes up.
Does it come from Afghanistan? Where's our fertilizer come from? The stuff that they spray to make your yard. I know there was one company years ago that made your yard green. They sprayed it with green.
Oh, yeah. Many years ago, when I was doing my Christmas tree farming with my uncle, they had one summer where the pine tip moths came in and just destroyed the trees. So we spent half the summer with tanks full of, backpack tanks of green dye running around spraying the brown trees green so that people would have Christmas.
Yeah, well, that's been done for years, hasn't it?
Oh,
really?
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, news, weather, sports coming up next. You're having breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7, also on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of our program. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Happy Thursday, the 9th day of October. Welcome to our program. We start with a check of the weather brought to you by our friend Sam Lilly. You know, enrollment for Medicare starts very soon, October 15th, as a matter of fact, until December 7th. This period gives you a chance to review your plan with Sammy and make changes to make sure you have the best coverage. Sam and his staff have been providing services now for over 40 years. He's the dean of independent insurance agents. He can square things with you very easily. And you can reach Sam Lilly and Associates at 309-245-4374. Beautiful day today, sunny, high around 70 degrees. Similar to yesterday, it was a beauty. Overnight low tonight, 47. And tomorrow, increasing cloudiness, 73, sunny, and 72 on Saturday, 74 on Sunday. Right now, we're stuck, happily or unhappily, at 46 degrees. Now the news, Mike Dentino.
Thanks, Roger. Well, it finally happened. President Donald Trump announced Hamas has joined Israel in ending the Gaza war. The president said on Truth Social Media that Hamas and Israel had signed off on the first phase of the Trump peace plan. This means all of the hostages will be released, and Israel will withdraw troops from the war zone. Trump said this is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world. Israel all surrounding nations, and the United States of America.
The president thanked the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, who he said worked with the United States to make this an historic and unprecedented event. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement, and I quote, "With God's help, we'll bring all of the hostages home." The Prime Minister said he'll convene the government to approve the agreement, which has been done.
Meanwhile, the president is having a hard time settling the war in this country, with domestic terrorists fighting ICE agents, especially in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. J.B. Pritzker, sounding more like Airman Goring than governor of Illinois, remains defiant in opposition to the work of the federal agents who've arrested more than 1,600 criminal immigrants.
A hearing will be held today in Chicago. A judge will consider a request by the governor and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. They want a temporary restraining order to block the National Guard. The lawsuit filed by the two politicians alleges Trump-ordered deployment is motivated politically and is unconstitutional and unlawful. Sounds familiar. Trump said Pritzker and Johnson should be in jail, as he kind of joked, because they failed to protect ICE agents who've been attacked and injured by rioters in Broadview, Illinois.
Former FBI Director James Comey was in court yesterday and pled not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress and obstructed congressional proceedings. A Biden-appointed judge released Comey on his own recognizance. His trial is set for January of next year. In the meantime, Comey's attorneys will seek to have the charges against him dismissed.
A judge in South Carolina has sentenced an illegal immigrant to only 1 year in jail after he hit and then disappeared in an accident that fatally injured a University of South Carolina student. 24-year-old Rosala Cruz turned in front with his vehicle of 21-year-old motorcyclist Nate Baker. Cruz fled the scene as the student died of his injuries on a street in Columbia, South Carolina. The judge gave the light sentence over objections of prosecutors who said the driver also had 3 other traffic violations. But that's okay.
Well, it's just death on the highway. Peoria police announced the arrest of 35-year-old Calvin Freeman in connection with the shooting of a 34-year-old woman last Sunday morning. She reportedly was shot in the chest in the 3400 block of West Hayes Street and was taken by car to a local hospital. Freeman has been charged with aggravated domestic battery.
The debate in Peoria Heights on how and who should respond to fire and medical emergencies has finally been settled, but not well settled. The trustees signed an agreement with the City of Peoria Fire Department for support in fighting fires and responding to medical emergencies in the village. The vote actually ended 3-3 tie, broken by the mayor, Matt Wigginton, in favor of the agreement. How'd you say that, Roger? Wigginton. Say that 3 times now. We're all done with that story. And now let's have news from WCBU, brought to you by Steve Sink. He is a business professional, has been associated as a broker now in business for some 20 years. He is managing partner for PHX Affiliates, and he knows businesses. He can help you sell your business, or if you're interested in buying one, he's the go-to guy. And you can reach Steve, nice fella, 309-696-8508. That number again, 696-8508.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. Washington city leaders are considering action to improve attendance at board and commission meetings. This week, the City Council discussed a proposed ordinance amendment that would allow for removing members who miss multiple meetings. Alderperson Mike McIntyre applauds the idea.
We assign people, and Mayor, you recommend people and we approve it here for these commissions for a reason.
The City Council will vote on the amendment at its October 20th meeting. Illinois Community College's Vice President of Workforce and Diversity says they're trying to work through financial aid challenges tied to federal DEI restrictions. Arnatria Shaw says the problem stems from changed definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
When we think about equity, we're thinking about giving every student what they need, not one student a benefit over another student. And part of that means we have to look at how those relationships play out.
She says diminished funding for higher education will have a domino effect across the entire community. Governor J.B. Pritzker is vowing not to back down against President Trump after he said the governor and Mayor Brandon Johnson deserve to be jailed. Early Wednesday, Trump floated imprisonment for both Illinois officials for not doing enough to protect ICE agents. On Tuesday, the governor drew laughs at a forum with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz when asked about the comments.
You both believe that you could sincerely be arrested?
Yes. I'm asking any of you to come visit me in the gulag in El Salvador.
Pritzker's El Salvador reference was to the notorious Central American mega prison where Trump's administration has sent scores of migrants. A new device developed in central Illinois aims to help kids with cancer stay active. Nick Kemp is an exercise physiologist with OSF's Heller Center in Peoria. He worked with OSF's Innovation Center to create a protective covering for chest ports used to administer treatment.
It's under the skin, but it's very sensitive still, and so any types of bumps in that area cause kids to kind of be reserved or more cautious.
Kemp's now in the process of partnering with other institutions to continue testing and refining it. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into sports. Dr. Gene Sidler, brought to you by BradleyFans.com. Gino, you're on the air.
Thank you, Roger. We need a Bradley theme, too, for
we do,
basketball
don't we?
season coming up. Anyway, we'll start with baseball first. The four playoff series that were in action yesterday. One of them was the Chicago Cubs, who staved off elimination with a win over the Milwaukee Brewers 4-3 last night, cutting the Brewers' lead in that series 2-1. Game 4 of the series, another elimination game for the Cubs, will be tonight at Wrigley Field, starting at 8:08 p.m. on the TBS network. If the Cubs can hang in and win again tonight, Game 5, the deciding game, will be Saturday at 3:30 p.m. in the best-of-5 series. Game 4 of the Detroit Tigers-Seattle Mariners game was also an elimination game for the Detroit Tigers, but they also kept from being eliminated with a 9-3 win over the Mariners, evening that series at 2 games apiece. The deciding Game 5 is tomorrow at 3:08 p.m. back over in Seattle. And in Game 4 of the Toronto Blue Jays-New York Yankees series out in New York, it was the Blue Jays 5, the Yankees 2, and the Blue Jays eliminate the Yankees, winning the series 3-1. Yankees pitching was not good, gave up 34 runs in the 4-game series, so the Blue Jays will sit idle waiting to advance to play the winner of the Dodgers-Phillies series. That series, when it starts, will be Monday. And in that series, the late game last night, former Cub Kyle Schwarber homered twice to lead the Philadelphia Phillies to an 8-2 win over the Dodgers. And the Dodgers still lead that series 2-1. Game 4 is today in Los Angeles at 5:08 p.m. That will be on the TBS network. Also tonight, the Thursday night NFL game on Prime Video, an NFC East matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants. The Eagles are 4-1 on the season, the Giants 1-4. Philadelphia 6.5-point favorite in tonight's game. There are 12 NFL games Sunday and 2 more on Monday night to wrap up this weekend's schedule. The Bears, who are 2-2 on the season, play Monday night against the Washington Commanders. Commanders 3-2. Washington is 6.5-point favorite. That's on ABC. College football, Illinois is playing this weekend on Saturday against the number 1 ranked team in the country, Ohio State. That'll be a conference game for the Illini. Let's hope they can upset the Buckeyes. That will be in Champaign. And Saturday, I think that's an 11 a.m. game on
probably CBS.
I think it's
I
forgot to write that down. It might be. Look it up.
I think it's CBS.
Okay. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they will play Saturday against North Carolina State on the Peacock streaming network at 2:30 p.m. Notre Dame's a 21.5-point favorite in that game. Also tonight, the National Hockey League continues with their early part of the schedule. The Blues open their season tonight with a home game against the Minnesota Wild, and the Blackhawks play another road game. They lost their first road game in Florida to the Panthers, but they will play the Boston Bruins tonight up in Boston. And the Bulls are 1-0 to start their preseason schedule. They came from behind to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers on Tuesday night. They play a home opener for the exhibition season up in Chicago against the same Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, so we'll have a lot of sports to report tomorrow. And as we mentioned the first hour, Bradley Braves season is just about to begin. They play their first preseason game this Saturday.
When do they play?
They play Saturday night,
Okay. All right, now
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Now, wait a minute. Now here's Dr. Gene Silver with Bradley Sports.
We did have to change the lyrics slightly on that because the lyrics are charged on down that field. Well, we have to put court in there.
Oh, okay.
We don't play football anymore. But
We don't? I thought we did.
no, not since 1970. I know that's too recent to have known about it, but yet it's, what was that, 55 years ago now.
Yeah,
if
well,
not
yeah.
played. But
What
at
was
least
it,
we can.
1971?
1970 was the final season, yeah.
Okay.
But at least we can say we are undefeated for 50 straight years. And anyway, the first exhibition game Saturday night up at University of Wisconsin Green Bay, up in Green Bay. They also have an exhibition game later in the month of October at home against the St. Louis University Billikens. And then their regular season starts November 3rd with that game in Rock Hill, South Carolina against St. Bonaventure. Pretty tough.
They call it the Bonnies.
The Bonnies, yes. That's a pretty tough matchup to play for your first game, but it'll be a nationally televised game, and that'll be good for Bradley, at least, to get a little publicity. Lots more information about the Bradley schedule, about the Bradley players, and about last night's I-2 Hall Spaghetti Supper.
You were there. Big event.
Yeah, I put a little
How was the
report.
spaghetti?
It was okay. I mean,
All
it's
right,
Avanti spaghetti. It's
can't
good.
beat that.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm not an Italian connoisseur like the gentleman to my right here, perhaps. But how can you mess up spaghetti? I guess you can.
Well,
You can. Oh,
But,
you
know, there's spaghetti and then there's spaghetti.
Yeah.
As a young fireman apprentice in the Navy, I got into a big row with one of the cooks on how to cook spaghetti.
Really?
There were two cooks on our ship, and one of them.
You don't just throw it in water and boil it.
Well, I mean, that is the essential activity, but it's
It's the
all
sauce.
in the length of time.
The length
Yeah.
of time.
Because-
and you have to add some salt to it. I don't do
Well,
that.
the salt is optional, olive oil is optional, but the texture is all. It has to be al dente, not mush.
And that's how I like it.
Yeah.
A little bit
A little
of
bite to it.
teeth action
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And is there a difference between the commercial spaghetti or
Yes,
or
a
should I
big
just buy the generic Kroger brand?
Well, it depends. Like my wife is now on this kick. She orders this new flour, and the name of it escapes me now. I'm kind of I like my semolina flour pasta, but now I'm eating something that's a little browner and a little denser.
Yeah, like a whole wheat
It's
type thing.
Yeah, the name escapes me right now, but yeah, it's a whole wheat flour. I'm a little not so crazy about it, but I am a husband of nearly 40 years, so I shut my mouth.
Well,
except
that's
to
not
eat.
a battle you're going to choose to take there.
I'm not dying on that hill today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't the real challenge, though, the sauce you put on the
I
spaghetti?
would say that's
because
more
some
of a challenge.
can be very spicy,
Oh,
which
yeah.
you don't like and I don't like.
Sauce is a matter of taste, though. I mean,
That's right,
everybody's, well, as my uncle would say, everybody's got, opinions are like you're behind. Everyone's got one. Most of them stink. But
The one thing I notice is in the grocery store, and I tend to go to Kroger, that there is no item in that store that has a larger span of shelf space than spaghetti sauce.
Yes.
Or
Really?
pasta
Is
sauce.
that right?
Yeah. Oh, there's everybody from Paul Newman to the generic guys, I guess,
everyone
produce a brand. There must be 50 different brands on that shelf.
Everyone from Paul Newman to RuPaul has a spaghetti sauce out there. Yeah, well,
and
I didn't know there was such a. I like spaghetti, and I have to admit I buy it in the can, and with meatballs, and I'm happy, except when I look at the caloric
You
count.
buy canned spaghetti sauce?
Yes. No, can with spaghetti and the meatballs.
Oh.
So
like
I
a
don't.
Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, you just yeah, right,
No,
exactly right.
see,
Pour it in the pan, heat it up,
I
I'm done.
still have that once in a while, but it doesn't taste like regular
Well,
spaghetti.
Oh, I
to me.
agree. I mean, it's it is it's filling, and that's it.
It's not bad.
Well,
it's not
that
good either,
is the best thing you can say about it. I mean, like Chef Boyardee spaghetti in a can or SpaghettiOs. I'm sorry, that is, in my humble opinion, a crime against
That
nature.
should be a crime.
I mean,
Well,
it's
also a crime against that certain anatomy you referred to as well.
Well, the thing of it is, while it may be appropriate if I'm on a desert island and I'm stuck eating sea rations that I just cut the top off using a P-38. Okay, now, and for the audience, a P-38 is something that goes by a variety of names. A John Wayne, it's a little device used to open cans.
I don't know. I was thinking the P-38, which was in World War II, a fighter plane.
But through World War II and beyond, a P-38 is this small little device.
I didn't know that.
I always had one on my keychain until a couple of years ago, but and because I lost it, I need to find another one.
Okay.
But it's more for nostalgia than anything else. But yeah, we used to have when sea rations came in little green cans. And
that is a P-38 can opener. Does that look familiar?
Yep, that's it. That's a John Wayne.
You wouldn't know what that is unless
I've
you
never
were
seen
right
anything
there,
like that in my life.
But somehow it gets that can opened.
Yes. When you look at it, you wonder how the hell does that work? But it does.
It does work.
It's
you
a lot
use
of effort.
Prying leverage.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a little hook that rotates
And
in
it's
and
hinged,
out. And then underneath that, it's actually underneath the little prompt to get the video to play.
Yeah.
There's another little cutout with a little sharp edge on it that hooks underneath the seam
Oh,
of
yeah.
the can.
Here it shows you how to do it here. Yeah, and it looks like it takes about 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. I mean, the calories you burn.
But it's on the keychain. There you go. He puts it on his keychain.
Yeah, the calories you burn trying to open a can make these things nutritionally neutral as far as calories go.
Well, I agree, and also it's a challenge for the use of language.
Yeah, well, of course, you could slice your hands open.
Oh, I know.
With,
it looks
with
dangerous.
the ragged edge of the can.
That looks dangerous to me.
Look, you could get one from Temu for $1.48.
Hey, I tell you what, that's probably the thing they're making the most money on in Temu. At $1.38, those things barely cost a penny to make.
Well, speaking of spaghetti, I have eaten spaghetti from La Gondola, and it's pretty good.
That's pretty tasty. Yeah. I mean, I'm a La Gondola fan. I mean, I would...
the torpedoes are very good.
Torpedoes are good. I'll eat there just about any day of the week.
The other thing about the shelf at the grocery store is that there's a wide variation of cost. There is some spaghetti sauce for like $2.99 or $2.69 for a big jar.
Jar of it.
And then there's some that's like $9.99 for the same size jar. So obviously some companies put a lot more work and perhaps a lot more ingredients and preparation into making it.
Right, yeah, or a lot more advertising and
it may be advertising.
Cost.
Yeah.
All right, are you done with sports?
Yep, done with sports.
Let's have a cheer then.
Oh, we're looking at the cheerleaders here.
Yeah. What happened to the sound?
I don't know.
ain't make it then. In their heads, living free. I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM making G's like Mercedes Benz.
That was kind of a
And maybe
waste.
that was why the sound was not playing.
Yeah, there was
It
probably
had
a
Roger's
reason.
favorite playlist.
Yeah. Hey, we have this day in history.
Oh, my favorite point of the day.
You always like this. On this day, October 9th, 1936, something important happened in this country. So it'd be helpful if you first ask what part of the country.
Was it in Chicago?
No.
Well, what
Was not in the Midwest.
What was the year again?
1936.
1936.
See, that ruled out the attempt on FDR's life that I think was in 36.
This was kind of a, I wouldn't say a happy event, but it certainly was a something to celebrate.
Was not happy, but we should have celebrated.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah. If you want to be happy, you could be happy. You wouldn't be sad, but it's it was a celebration.
It wasn't the repeal of prohibition.
No, and it was. Ask me what or describe.
Was it in the realm of politics?
No.
Okay. Was it in?
It will help if you find out first of all what part of the country.
East Coast?
No.
West Coast.
Close to it.
Okay.
Southwest.
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 So think about what's in the Southwest.
Scorpions and sadness.
Yes.
What about testing of weapons?
No. Nothing to do with military or army.
Too early for the Manhattan Project. Well, let's see. Well, there weren't any sports teams that were of any significance.
No, it wasn't
sports.
in sports.
No.
You probably have been there.
36. Was it?
It's somewhat of a tourist attraction.
Was it a large city?
No, but it's large.
The Grand Canyon.
Well, you're getting a little closer.
Okay.
The dam.
Yes.
Hoover Dam.
Yes. Well, what about it?
It was finished.
Yeah.
Yes, and what by finished? But what did it mean?
Well,
when
they
you
started
say-
water flowing through it.
Yes.
They started
and
producing
generating electricity.
Yes, that's very
go.
good. On this day, 1936, the Hoover Dam begins transmitting electricity, harnessing the power of what?
The Colorado River.
Very good. The Hoover Dam started sending electricity over transmission lines spanning how many miles of mountains and deserts to run the lights, radios, and stoves of what city?
Los
Los
Angeles.
Angeles.
Very good. And how many miles?
How many miles?
Geez.
Less than 500, right?
350.
A little high at 350. A little high.
Is it?
It wasn't 300, but
Well, I was guessing
315.
500 or less.
no, it's less.
Okay. 425.
Less.
315.
Less.
375.
Less.
Oh,
Too high here.
400.
340.
Less.
Oh, okay. But
It's under 300.
280.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
close. Very close.
5.
Well, think of the famous road that runs to the West Coast.
Route 66.
Yes. So,
366.
Oh, 266.
no,
266.
yes, 266. Very good.
Okay.
Initially named Mulder Dam, that should have been my
Boulder
question
Dam. Yeah.
instead of Hoover Dam. Work on the dam began under President.
Under Hoover, didn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Herbert Hoover?
That's why they called it
Oh, okay.
Hebert Hoover. Who said that? Somebody said in a speech, Hebert Hoover.
Hebert Hoover.
Was he the one that lived in Iowa? Who was the president?
Herbert Hoover, I believe. Was
When you're on Route 80, there is a house that I think
Iowa.
Herbert Hoover lived in.
Yeah.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
I think you're right, Roger.
Yeah, I don't know.
The event completed as a public works project during FDR's administration. Its name was not officially changed until who changed it? What president?
FDR.
In Harry Truman. Signed off in April 1947. When it was finished, it actually finished in 1935. The towering concrete and steel plug was the tallest dam in the world and a powerful symbol of the new federal dedication to large-scale reclamation projects designed to water the arid West, and I wish they could get it in my front yard. In fact, the electricity generated deep in the bowels of the Hoover Dam was only a secondary benefit. The central reason for the dam was the collection, preservation, and rational distribution of the most precious of all Western commodities,
which is water. Yeah.
Water.
Yeah, Herbert Hoover was born in West Branch, Iowa.
So I thought so. I just remember, actually I visited once, since we were going west or coming back from the west, the home of Herbert Hoover. And he was, what number president was he?
He was the 31st president of these United States. Did you know he was a wealthy mining engineer before he became president?
Did not know that.
Yeah, West Branch actually spans the I-80 interstate. A little bit of it's north and a little south, and it is just east of Iowa City. So we do go right through it.
Go right through West Branch.
Whenever you're heading west on I-80 near Iowa City.
And there's anything better when you see a Western than a glass of you remember the song and who sang it? One of my
All day I faced a barren waste without the taste of water, cool water. Oh, Dan and I with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water. Cool.
I've heard it, but I don't know.
have you heard this song before? Frank Lane's always been my favorite.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds like it should be the opening credits for a Western movie.
Yeah. Well, he did a lot of singing. I used to think he was the one that sang High Noon, but it wasn't. The singer of High Noon was a Western singer whose name escapes me for the moment. Can you think? Was there a Western singer with the first name Red? It's on the tip of my tongue.
There's only two Reds that I can, three Reds that I can think of. One would be my roommate from college. The other one would be Red Adair or Red Grange.
Yeah, Red Grange, for the matter. When you think of, yes.
It was sung by Tex Ritter.
That's
in the opening
that's
credits.
real close to Red. Ted and Red.
Yeah, well, close.
But there is a Frankie Lane version.
That
actually scored higher on the U.S.
Than Tex Ritter. But Tex Ritter sang it in the movie.
Yes, but he also released a version, made it to number 12 on the Billboard Top 100, and Frankie Lane's version at about the same time made it to number 5. So there you go. Frankie Lane got a little bit more money out of his version.
I don't know whether it was your dad or Royce who told the story about the guy who was struggling across the desert near Las Vegas. He was having a hard time. His son was 110 degrees. He was sweating, and he kept saying, "I need water, need water." He ran into a guy selling ties, and he said, "Sell you a tie, Mac, $1.50." He said, "No, I need water." He said, "How about a clip-on tie for 50 cents?" "No, I need water." He said, "Well, there's a Oasis up the road. You can make it there." Well, sure enough, he got to this beautiful hotel, water sprinkling inside and everything. and he made his way to the door, and the doorman was there. He said, "I need water." He says, "Can't let you in without a tie, Mac." That's
if only.
Yeah. Anyway, as bad as I told it, still it's a good joke. We know it takes hard work to be successful, and that's what Realtor Kathy Reynolds does with Brilliant Real Estate. She works hard to help you buy and or sell your home. Check her out today. She's available to work with you at 309-696-2162. Now, without a tie, here's Mike Dentino.
I'm tieless, indeed. I don't even have a shirt you can put a tie on. President Donald Trump has announced Hamas has joined Israel in ending the Gaza war. The president said on Truth Social that Hamas and Israel had signed off on the first phase of the Trump peace plan. This means all the hostages will be released and Israel will withdraw troops from the war zone. Trump said this is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. The president thanked mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who said he worked with the U.S. to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement, "With God's help, we will bring all of the hostages home." The Prime Minister said he will convene the government to approve the agreement today, and they already have. In this country, the President is having a hard time settling the war with domestic terrorists fighting ICE agents, especially in Portland and Oregon and Chicago. J.B. Pritzker remains defiant in opposition to the work of federal agents who've arrested more than 1,600 criminal immigrants. A hearing will be held today where a judge will consider a request by the governor and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for a temporary restraining order to block the National Guard deployment. The lawsuit, filed by the two politicians, alleges that Trump ordered the deployment as a politically motivated, unconstitutional, and unlawful event. Trump said Pritzker and Johnson should be in jail for failing to protect ICE agents who've been attacked and injured by rioters in Broadview, Illinois. Former FBI Director James Comey was in court yesterday and pled not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress and obstructed congressional proceedings. The Biden-appointed judge released Comey on his own recognizance. His trial is set for January of next year. In the meantime, Comey's attorneys will seek to have the charges against him dismissed. Peoria police announced the arrest of 35-year-old Calvin Freeman in connection with the shooting of a 34-year-old woman last Sunday morning. She reportedly was shot in the chest in the 3400 block of West Hayes Street and was taken by car to a local hospital. Freeman has been charged with aggravated domestic battery. And the debate in Peoria Heights on how and who should respond to fire emergencies has been settled. Trustees agreed to sign an agreement with the City of Peoria Fire Department for support in fighting fires and help with medical emergencies in the village. The vote was actually a 3-3 tie, which was broken with Mayor Matt Wigington in favor of the agreement. And Roger, that's it for news at the bottom of the hour.
All right, thank you, Ken. How about a check of this beautiful weather brought to you by our friends at Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap in healthcare. They've been around helping people and families since 1993, and, they recognize that staying at home is a good alternative to aftercare in hospitals, where recovery and healing faster and more comfortable, and they do a great job. Learn more from Spoon River Home Health at 309-245-0723. They're available 24/7 to help you and your loved one. And it does help to have beautiful weather, and we are enjoying that right now. Today, sunny, 70 overnight, low 47. Some clouds rolling in tomorrow and a high 73. We're at 72 under sunny skies on Saturday and 74 on Sunday. And right now we are at 51 degrees. Yes, I checked, and that's when our little bumper says as well on YouTube. And good morning, everybody. Thanks for being a part of our program. All right. I want to open up our discussion in the 20 minutes we have remaining on this Thursday morning. What is the story with Greta Thunberg? Is she, seriously, is she a bubble off? And how old is she now?
She's 22, just about to turn 23. Okay. She still looks like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
And sounds like an 8-year-old.
She is said to be on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But she seems pretty normal. I mean, when you see interviews of her, but I don't think she's really well educated. She dropped out of school to become this sort
celebrity.
of
the face.
Celebrity spokesperson for the climate. And now she seems to have dumped all of that all of a sudden to become a celebrity spokesperson for the Palestinian cause. She doesn't mention the climate at all anymore.
No, it's hard to be.
Now if this gets settled, I don't know what she'll go to next.
Yeah, well, she'll find something. Maybe she'll run back to the climate people, and they'll I don't know. Maybe like a jilted boyfriend, they'll reject her, but probably not. She's one of these, as Stalin would suggest, useful idiots. She parrots a line of climate information that has been debunked by anyone who's actually looked beyond the histrionics of the climate people who are still talking about how the world's going to collapse and millions are going to die in the next 10 years, which they've been running around saying that since the 70s. Only, in the 70s, we were at the verge of a new ice age. Then it was acid rain, we're going to destroy all of our forests. And because my understanding was the Appalachian should have been completely deforested by now based on the acid rain problems. Then it was the Maldives and all the Pacific Islanders were going to be in their dugout canoes looking for a new place to live because all their homes were going to be underwater in the 80s and 90s. So it goes. Al Gore's, again, that was going to send everything down the river. But poor Greta seems to be, maybe she saw an early out because the climate stuff wasn't going to get any traction. And now she's in the Palestinian camp. But yeah, now that we may have a breakthrough in the peace talks, maybe she's without a political flag to wave now that that's been if that's over, maybe now she has to find a new cause. I do love the fact that I have her sticker on one of my tractors. My diesel tractor, which does not have DPS filters. They don't have it. I have one "How dare you" sticker on it just for my own amusement.
And another basket case is this gal running for governor in California, a Democrat, Katie Porter is her name.
Yeah. Yep.
She's a nutcase.
Oh, yeah, completely. She's a little tightly wound, I would say.
There's a video circulating around the internet of her in an interview with a CBS reporter out in California who asks her a simple question, and she just explodes at her with a somewhat unhinged rant. Asked her, what would you say to Republican voters who you may need to try to get some of their votes in order to win? And she basically said, why would I need the Republicans? I can win without their vote. And then she went on to attack Trump and essentially attack Republicans, and then turned her ire toward the reporter, essentially saying, you weren't supposed to ask me hard questions.
No follow-up questions.
Yeah.
She said.
Well, and the reporter, to her credit, said, well, I've asked the same question to all the other Democratic primary candidates, and they seem to have no problem answering it. And this woman, this candidate, had a real bug in her bonnet, and I mean but that's the state of politics, particularly in California. And this woman was talking about, oh, well, I've run in a purple. I'm from Orange County, and I've run election campaigns in purple areas. I wouldn't, well, maybe Orange County's purple now, but back in the day, because I am somewhat out of touch with California politics, Orange County was a reliably red area. Like I said, maybe it's gone purple now, but doesn't seem to me that that's quite the issue in this case, though.
In the wake of this sort of unhinged interview that is being portrayed on the internet, have come forward some other videos.
Oh, choice ones?
One here where she's being interviewed and she claims that pedophilia is a alternate sexual orientation and should not be treated as a crime. I don't think
Wrong.
that is an argument that a lot of people
She's
would
a nutcase.
agree with. Yes, she is a bit of a nutcase. There's another video that emerged of her screaming at a staff member. She was doing a Zoom-type interview on her laptop or computer, and somebody walked into the view, and she turned around and yelled at them, "You're in my view," or "You're in my video," and told them to get out. Normal people just don't behave that way.
No.
She's not.
No.
She's a nutcase.
Well, I mean, personally, I think most of California, like my father used to say, California, the land of fruits and nuts. But, she's, again, I think she's just a little tightly wound. And if we continue to elect people like that to public office, we are going to continue down this road to perdition that we've been so happily traveling down, it would seem.
Well, I won't say she's a nutcase. She's a weirdo, as AOC. Some of the things that's coming out of her mouth, and she is, the former bartender.
Yeah.
And that's an insult to bartenders. I know a lot of bartenders, not a lot, of few who are
quite.
Terry Chamberlain served bar at what's his name's Sky Harbor Restaurant.
Yeah. It used
my brother's son was a bartender at Jimmy's Bar.
Well, there you are.
Peoria.
Well, it used to be bartenders and barbers used to be the bastion of reason, discord, and free thought. Yeah.
My dad was a barber, starting at age 15, as a matter of fact. There are just so many, and the nutcases are treated like they're normal by the national media.
Well,
I mean, they almost celebrate. I've seen cases in the local media.
Yeah, I mean, they're being looked at as the norm now, and I just don't see that as. But when I was very, very young, and listened to people talk about the silent majority, I'm like, yeah, right. That's a bunch of hooey. Now I am part of that voting bloc, I guess, and. I look at everyone else as, okay, there is some bit of myopathy to my viewpoint, but I mean, I'm getting a little tired of hearing the fringe people calling themselves, well, I'm the arbiter of all that's good and right, and all you people holding on to holding on desperately to your God, your guns, and your Bible. I'm disagreeing with a lot of that.
Yeah. There's a breaking story out of Portland, Oregon. The Portland Police Association is calling for federal help, while the elected officials say we don't need National Guard. That city, that town, I wouldn't go down to downtown Portland, Oregon, any more than I would go downtown to Beijing, China.
Well, I would say Beijing, China, would be considerably more peaceful.
More peaceful, yeah, because they beat the hell out of people.
Well, they just
in that country,
right? They just snatch them up, throw them on the bus, and everyone
That's
wonders
right.
what the hell happened to Mr. Chang.
Yeah, and
Don't ask that.
Yeah, so that's a late-breaking story out of California. Another one is Sonoma County. Where is that?
That's just on the north side of the San Francisco Bay,
right?
Right next to Napa County. Sonoma is the one closer to the ocean.
And she's interim, so she's in there just as a sub. She may get fired and no longer be interim anything. Dr. Karen Smith issued an order on Monday requiring anyone entering certain healthcare facilities in the county to wear a mask.
I saw that, and this is to continue through flu season, I think, through the end.
Nursing homes, retirement communities, rehab facilities, infusion centers, and dialysis centers, according to the order from
because we all know
Dr.
that
Smythe.
There's a huge body of scientific information that shows that masks are very effective in stopping the spread of anything. It stops this.
Yes, I mean this shows complete ignorance because indeed, as you're saying, these mask orders have failed to show any benefit.
Benefits,
right, right.
Other than the sale of masks.
Well, I'm looking at the new type of mask now that will allow you to smoke a cigarette while you're wearing your mask.
Yeah. Okay, and the question of the morning is, why is it Senate Republicans don't implement the nuclear option? They've already done that for the approval of 107 nominations to federal positions by President Trump. They implemented the nuclear option to get that job done because not a single nominee had been approved by a consensus vote, which means there's no argument, no debate. You just accept them. Not one had been approved by the Senate, blocked by Democrats. So Republicans institute the nuclear option, which changed the House rules that allow for a simple majority. If they do that, which they should do, frankly speaking, they've got the power to do it, change the rules to make approval of the budget and reopen the government with a simple majority vote.
Well, they would have to pass or they would have to institute, I guess, a change in the filibuster cloture kind of thing. And if you do that, that means that if the Senate ever swings back to Democrats, they will stack the Supreme Court. They will give statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico. They will do things that would make it impossible.
They did it in 2023. Democrats had the nuclear option, and they did it in 2023.
But it didn't pass because of...
yes, it passed.
Not to eliminate the filibuster. Filibuster still exists.
Filibuster still is there.
Yeah,
but to get judges through. Yes, they did that. But the filibuster is still in existence for other things, and they tried to pass it, but Fetterman and a few other Democrats voted against it.
Right.
But I'm going back to 2023.
But that's what I'm referring to.
I didn't think
that did not get passed for legislation. For judgeships, it did.
Right.
But not for legislation.
And the thing of it is, I think the Republicans don't want to do that because they recognize the fact that there will be a time when the pendulum will swing to the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And the filibuster is one of those rules that when it backs up legislation or backs up things, people bemoan the fact that why can't we just pass it with a majority vote? But it's important because, just for the same reason that we are not a democracy, we are a representative republic. Because when you have a situation where the majority rule, when 51% is enough to pass anything, that there are going to be problems. And it's interesting because, the longest filibuster ever was 71 days. What was You know who was doing it and what they were filibustering? It was the Democrats filibustering the Civil Rights Act in 1963. So, now, if you look back, if history is a record of what's been done in the past, which indeed it is, the Democrats are still trying to run from that one. Oh, no, that wasn't us. Those were Democrats that are now Republicans.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right. And
like
other fairy tales.
Kind of like the KKK argument. Oh, no, that was a different Democrat party.
Those are Democrats that are all now Republicans. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like Strom Thurmond?
Robert Byrd.
Robert Byrd, yeah. Oh.
That was Hillary Clinton's biggest idol.
Yeah, well, like a good friend of mine, a man that I think is incredibly intelligent and I admire greatly to this day, a Chicago Democrat that once said, "Never let facts get in the way of a good story."
Yeah. Who was that?
That was Obama's first chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, the mayor. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean that was a friend of mine from Chicago. It wasn't Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, he had it first.
I think my friend had it first.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and that was 1986 in Chicago.
Yeah, there were reports that Emanuel would bang his fist on the table in the White House conference room and use that phrase that never let a catastrophe go to waste.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
a crisis. Never let a crisis go to waste.
If Rahm used the statement that I have, he probably got it from the same person, I would imagine.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's a famous saying, no question about that.
He was politically well connected in Chicago at the time. But oh yeah. Anyway.
And now you know the rest of the story. Well, there was one other subject I wanted to bring up, and that is, what is Peoria going to do about the homeless? They've removed their encampment from a downtown empty building, and they say there's about 800 homeless people in Peoria, most of which are being housed in various agencies, facilities, and so forth. But if you don't have an end game, if you don't have a long-term solution to the problem, I know Tim Riggenbach, a member of the city council, wants to build a village of small homes, houses to put them in. But you're not solving the problem then. All you're doing is putting them in a place and hope that the never-ending funding will be never-ending. But at a certain point, you're going to run out of money. So you've got to come up with some kind of a plan to say, how do we get these people jobs and employment?
One of the council members back someday and ask about that again and where that is. There was a proposal to develop this tiny home development, remember?
Right.
But now I haven't heard anything or read anything about that.
It was expensive
recently. Oh yeah, there was like, what was it going to be, 30,000 per home?
It was at least that, and then you've got to figure in the utilities.
And there will be construction costs in addition to that. Yeah.
And of course the ever-present and always necessary repairs, because as we all know, people will take care of something given to them free as if it was their own, carefully and judiciously, right?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Yes.
And other fairy tales.
I saw a video this morning, in fact, on social media. A media member was interviewing somebody on the street who was homeless, but they actually had an apartment that was a free apartment that was given to them. So the homeless person took them up to their apartment, and it was just piled waist high in garbage and totally trashed.
Yeah. Well,
so it was unlivable. So she was having to live on the street as a homeless person because her apartment was unlivable.
Well,
what world does that make sense?
Anyone who's ever managed property or been a landlord is going to have a certain viewpoint on this, and everyone would love to have ideal tenants, and as most landlords will tell you, they'll either be one of two camps. it's either rare or they don't exist.
Well, we exist until 9 o'clock, and then we disappear on YouTube and 90.7. Thanks for joining us. Wonderful interview with Julie Bickelhaupt, who's running for the Republican nomination for the 17th Congressional District. Thank you, Julie, for joining us. Mike, as always, thank you kindly.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And Dr. Gene, we'll see you tomorrow. And Parker said he was coming in this morning, but he didn't make. But he left his donuts behind. So if he can't make it,
we have a plethora of donuts today.
Yeah.
Over there, holy cow.
Well, have a great day, everybody. Remember, God loves you, and so do we. And remember, that's life. Frank?
In the race, that's life. That's life. I tell you, I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, baby, but my heart just ain't gonna buy it. And if I didn't think it was worth one single try, I'd jump right on a big bird and then I'd fly. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. And I know one thing, each time I find myself laying flat on my face, I just pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life. That's life. That's life. And I can't deny it. Many times I thought of cutting out, but my heart won't buy it. But if there's nothing shaking come this here July, I'm gonna roll myself up in a big ball and